Hey folks, welcome, good evening wherever you're joining from. Welcome to another Money Space with me, Kalu Aja. On this space, of course, we're talking money, the economy, and personal finance. We want to make it personal to you, talk about your money and all that. So this week we're talking, crypto, digital assets, and all that. Well, it's been a difference. Maybe should we say in the past year, or should we give it? Should we say since President Trump has come into office, the United States has moved fully into the crypto, Bitcoin, digital currency space. We've seen an executive order by the president setting up a crypto reserve. That's basically they're going to have like a sovereign wealth fund. This is going to be a sovereign wealth fund, but populated by crypto assets. We've seen him hosting a crypto summit. We've seen the new SEC chairman, crypto friendly. The president himself has his own meme coin. Lots of US states are now adopting, Bitcoin reserves or crypto reserves. Lots of movements in the Senate as well and House in America. I think the president has asked them to give him a bill in August on crypto, Bitcoin, and all that. Already, even before Trump became president, you could buy Bitcoin via ETFs. So Bitcoin ETFs are traded, quoted on the market, so you can actually buy from the largest players in the US market. So it leads us to ask the question really, is Bitcoin now a bit more mature? Has it now grown up? Is this something that we can invest in? Those of us that don't know too much about that space, that whole the tech behind it. What we're interested in is can I put money in it and can I get my money out? Is it now something I can invest in? This is why we're holding the space. So those of you that know about this stuff, try to keep it very, very simple for us. When we talk stocks, we say, hey, this stock is good. Why is it good? Because it has a low PE ratio. It has earnings potential. It's paid its dividends. Simple stuff that you can understand and follow. I think the question why most people are tuning into it to say, listen, has this thing come to stay? We know the prices go up and down. Has it come to stay? Is it just Bitcoin or are there others that we can invest in? Those others, how do we invest in them? Are we buying the coin? Are we staking? What all this mean? Then specifically, if we're in Nigeria and want to invest in this asset class, can we do so? I know banks still have that MFLA guideline about them not opening up crypto assets or crypto accounts and all that. Has that changed? If I want to open up a crypto account, can I do that? Things like that. Is SEC having any movement on that front? That's really what I want to talk about. So I'm not an expert here. I just want to have the space to allow others to speak. So let's start from the 360 Digipreneur. How are you doing? Welcome to the space. Thank you for your comments. I've got the 360. You want to unmute and sort of lay the ground for us. Are you an investor? What should we know about this market? Go for it, sir.
All right. I don't know if I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
All right. Good evening, sir. Actually, this is my first time being on your space, and I think I picked more interest on it when it has something to do with crypto. Of course, it has been something that I've been making waves lately, and it's something that I think that most people should look into it, especially maybe you're looking for a way to make money and all of that, But first off, just like my name, I'm the 360 Digipreneur, so that's my brand name, and I'm a social media strategist as well as a crypto investor. So I've been in the space for I've been here since 2017, and I think I bought my first Bitcoin in 2017, 0.1 BTC. As of then was around 50K, But I have my own part of, the story. Crypto space is a place that, in as much as it's something so really volatile and fragile, you have higher chances of being scammed in the process. and it requires some level of education, learning, and all of that.
So just are you buying now? Just to go to that question, are you buying? What are you buying? Just to give us an overview. Folks want to just hear. They're not going to. They just want to hear from the folks actually in this space. Are you buying today? What are you buying, and why are you buying? If we could start doing it that way.
All right. Personally, I'm not buying right now. I'm not really buying right now. The reason being that with all of the things happening in the market, the tariffs and all of that, personally, I still feel that we still have some more room down there, maybe somewhere around 73K or so. But let's see what's going to happen in the market. And I think that would be the region where most people would consider going into the market, because as of right now, there are so much uncertainty in the market. You're not just so sure where the market is actually headed. Even as I'm talking right now, the market is actually dumping. I think it's around 81K. It's around 81K. So it's not really a good time for me to actually buy. And maybe I may want to trade it on the futures, maybe to see if I can scoop up some profit, which is something I would do right now. But it's not something I would want to buy at the moment.
Gotcha. So the price, when you say 81, we're talking about Bitcoin. The price is about $83 now. The last 5 days been down 4.6%. So when I look at prices on the market, I always look at the long term to see where this thing is coming from. 5-year return for Bitcoin is 1,507%. That's 5 year. For 1 year for Bitcoin is 21%. Year-to-date numbers for Bitcoin is down 10%. So the long-term view seems to favor that if you hold Bitcoin, you do make a lot of money. I mean, all-time Bitcoin return, if you're looking at, say, beyond 2019, you're looking at about 18,000% return. That's crazy. But again, like you said, lots of issues going on there. I've got Olumide here, but let me get crypto. Olumide, let me get cryptonomics. What's on your mind, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Carlo. So when it comes to cryptocurrency, personally, I kind of, use an investor's approach to do my investment in cryptocurrency.
What does that mean?
First of all, I buy to hold, especially yes, for Bitcoin, Ethereum. In the first 5 largest large cap altcoins, I buy them to hold.
Okay. And
then including Bitcoin. And then I bought my first cryptocurrency in 2022 during the worst of the bear market, and I'm still holding up to now. I haven't sold any either. So I'm hoping to sell at the peak of the bull run or the bull market, and then I wait for another bear market to buy.
Oh.
That is how I approach cryptocurrency. But Bitcoin and Ethereum, I approach them differently, because these two cryptocurrencies are those that have already gotten ETF approval. So
which and which?
In Canada, Ethereum already has gotten ETF approval for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that Bitcoin have gotten ETF approval both for US and Canada as well.
Okay. So what does that mean? Yes. So that means that if there's a bigger market for it, right? So if retail investors are buying, it sort of gives it strength in the market because of the volume that is involved. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And then also, just like looking at S&P 500, I know a lot of people are waiting for Bitcoin to crash all the way to 15,000, 10,000. I don't see that happening in the future. But I see the movement of Bitcoin going in line with the movement of S&P 500. Just if you hold, the longer you hold, the more beneficial it will be for you. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm using both assets, Bitcoin and Ethereum only, as a kind of, retirement. Instead of putting my money in savings account or putting it in RRSP, which is the retirement account for Canadians, I put those monies in Bitcoin. because I know that it's now, garnering kind of the mass adoption is becoming more of a reality than it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Like you see countries and you see states talking about Bitcoin reserve. And I don't think that Bitcoin is going anywhere. Because if it's going to fail, you won't see states, you won't see countries, you won't see presidents of different countries talking about, investing in Bitcoin. So for both assets, I use them as my retirement in quotes. Savings.
So can I ask a question? So you live abroad? You live like in the West?
I live in Canada.
Okay, so you're saying that you're on your 401k, your IRA or 401k, you're just buying Bitcoin or digital asset. What percentage are you buying? Like out of the total 100%, how much is invested in this?
So for like what I usually do is that I have a designated account where my employers pay a percentage of my income deducted directly from my paycheck to that account. So I take about 60% of that money and then I put it in buying Bitcoin ETF. And then 30% of the money.
Wow.
30% of the money goes into Ethereum ETF.
Wow.
And then it's just only 10% that is left to be shared among other ones.
60%. I mean, how old are you? Don't mind me. Don't, like what range? How old are you? What's your range? Your age range?
Yeah, I'm still in my late 30s.
Okay, so you're very, very young. So you're doing a lot of this and being interesting. Okay.
Yes. So then I know you asked another question about what do we check when you are buying other coins, other cryptocurrencies.
If I don't know anything and I want to enter this space, give me 3 things I should look out for.
Okay. So if you want to enter the crypto space, the first thing you have to check is what real problem are these people solving? And I will say it and then I will give you an instance. There is a project that is called Chainlink. So with Chainlink, what problem there? Chainlink is a project that is providing real data that is being used among hundreds of projects within the crypto space. And then recently we saw that NASDAQ say that in 2026 they are looking at going 24 hours 5 days a week, and we have been hearing about rumors about tokenized stocks. Now all these things, if it has to come in terms of tokenized stocks, the probability that it will be built on Chainlink is very, very high. Because a lot of projects that you see in cryptocurrencies, they interact with Chainlink. So it's kind of like the Chainlink is more of a global, interoperability among most of the projects we see in crypto space.
Interesting.
Now, when you see the problem these people are trying to solve, right? So you have to see and check what real world problem are they trying to solve. That's number one. Then second thing I look at is this. Do they have trusted investors? That's another criteria I check.
How will I know that?
So if you like I usually use CryptoRank.io as one of my tools to research on cryptocurrencies. So you will see the listed those like investors that actually put in their money in those projects. It will be listed on that project if they have any. If they have any investors, those investors, and then in some cases the amount they invested will be listed. So when I'm looking at investors, I look at tier 1, tier 2. I take those 2 tiers of investors very serious. But when it begins to go tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, sometimes those people are coming in just to buy and dump on the retail investors. I'm not saying it's all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, but look, if you see a tier 1 investor, like a lot of projects that you have a lot of tier 1 investors in them, then I tend to take that project more serious than a project that I see that doesn't have a tier 1 or tier 2 investors.
Okay, let me see if I understand what you're saying. So just to follow. So number one, if I want to buy, look at the real world problem they're trying to solve. So the crypto has to solve the real world, number one. Number two, I want to look at their investors. Is this what the tier 1 coming? The investors are going to be I see the quality of the people coming into this space. This tier 1 thing is what?
So now, investors are ranked the same way bonds are ranked according to their listing, AAA, right?
Okay.
So investors in the crypto space are ranked. I don't know how they do the ranking, but I know that they are ranked according. They have rank. Investors have their own rankings. We have like investors like Binance, right? Those Binance, Coinbase, those are regarded as tier 1 investors.
I see.
Right? So that's another thing I looked at. And then another thing I consider is their tokenomics.
That's number 2.
For example, there are about 21 things, but I will just stop at these 3.
Okay.
If I see any project that the founders of the project has anything more than 15% of the total supply amount, that's the thing. Some will tell you 17%, some will tell you 20%. I am not looking at cryptocurrency as per se, I just want to buy and then it forms, I sell. No, that is not how I do approach cryptocurrency. So if the founders of the project has anything more than 15% of the total supply, I will just leave. And even in looking at the total supply holders, sometimes what most of them do is that they will create about 1,000 wallets, and then they will distribute all those things so that it will look as if there are 1,000 people that is holding those projects.
I see.
But you never know that it's one person that owns those 1,000 wallets.
All right? Excellent.
So there are a lot of tricks that you really need to have the training and expertise in order to be able to dictate quality projects.
Understood.
From
crypto,
projects that are there to
Great. Great. Thanks for taking us through. If you can hang around, I want to just bring everyone in. I think I've learned 3 things from you, and I know others listening have learned a lot from you. Hang on, let's get a few guys to hop in. Olumide, how are you doing? Welcome to the party. Olumide, Trump is hosting the Digital Summit. Michael Saylor is going to be the biggest. MicroStrategy is going to be one of the biggest. He's in the NASDAQ. He's going to be put in the NASDAQ very soon. He has about 60 billion. We're doing SEC. It's positive towards crypto. Sentiment is shifting. What could go wrong, Olumide? Have we finally arrived?
Good evening, Kalu. Nice to be on the space again. And I think I'm so happy to be here because for those that followed your space early this year, while you gave sorry, I think
no, go ahead.
You have to. Yeah, the thing is echoing back. Okay, the guy has to mute.
Where is he? Let me see.
Sorry, the 360 guy. Okay. Then, if you look at the market from the outlook we gave when we spoke about crypto market in your space, I think there's a lady and one guy that gave a very brilliant disposition, and that came to play to what we are seeing. I think first of all, Bitcoin is here to stay. Traditional finance has support for Bitcoin. If you just look at BlackRock and MicroStrategy you just mentioned, they own about 5% of the total amount of Bitcoin that will ever be produced. And bookmakers say that about 5 million Bitcoin has already been lost. So we roughly have about 17 million that will ever be available even after the last Bitcoin is mined. So when you look at the population of 8 billion plus, and look at the fact that 2 entities already control 5% supply, it tells you that definitely Bitcoin has a deflationary property. And with Donald Trump coming to play, the ecosystem bringing out a pro-friendly SEC that understands crypto and is self-engaging with the crypto industry. We saw the meeting he had with the president. That's positive, Kalu. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty, but those are the poor. However, it has shown that a lot of Nigerians suffered from crypto exposure this quarter, and that was one of the things I raised. I said that a lot of people don't understand that one of the reasons why Bitcoin is different from the rest is that it has a strong foot in traditional finance. Take a look at BlackRock. BlackRock has about 550,000 Bitcoin. Look at MicroStrategy, it has over 450,000 Bitcoin. Then there are big entities. The Chinese government seized, the Germans sold, the British government has. So there are different entities that have Bitcoin. And the argument for Bitcoin is that it's not owned by a central authority. No central authority governs, so it's decentralized, and the integrity of that space is highly maintained. And since it has not been hacked, or there are very few cases where Bitcoin plays in the dark channel, a lot of people see it as digital gold. Then the US Fed chief recently called it digital gold, so that affected. But Carl, if you look at the price action from January to as we speak, Bitcoin has lost more than 25%. On a short term, it looks like it's in a bearish market. And the reason is not far-fetched. Bitcoin has a positive correlation with your political uncertainty. So the reason is because while central banks see gold as an asset, many of them are not convinced with Bitcoin. You saw what happened with the European Central Bank, saying that they don't see Bitcoin as a reliable asset to hold. So I expect that people should learn that, this technology is growing, but it doesn't mean that we're going to see an upward view immediately where people are calling Bitcoin. I remember your space, somebody said Bitcoin will hit $1 million. Now, as we speak, what is really happening is that liquidity is being drained. You look at Ethereum, it's going below the $2,000 mark. Look at altcoins. And another thing again is that the space is heavily unregulated. You've seen a lot of people promoting scams, minting scams. You look at meme coins, for example. A majority of meme coins have lost 90% of their value. So, Carlo, it takes you back to the fact that has diminished the way some people see crypto. However, like I said, it has a strong positive horizon. But just to close down my points, the truth of the matter is that Donald Trump has put a positive political cover on Bitcoin. But the reality is that I listen to other speakers. I think they are over leveragedly optimistic about this crypto space, and I'll tell you why. If you look at different cycles, different coins came out, ICOs, meme coins, different smart contracts. The space is evolving. We don't really know the altcoin that really reigns supreme. We first thought that it was going to be Ethereum because of the smart contract ability, but now we see that it's just Bitcoin that is showing. So, Carlo, personally, I feel that it's too early to call, but Bitcoin definitely should be an asset class. And the Americans have done something smart with the ETF. You don't need to directly hold Bitcoin. You can buy just like you buy other ETF. But the problem is that in Nigeria, many people don't have that dollar exposure. So there's a point when some investment bankers were considering having Bitcoin in the stock market, Nigerian stock market, NGN. I hope it comes to pass because the Securities Commission has already said that, okay, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they pass as commodities. So that's my take.
Okay, well, let me just ask you specifically for Nigeria, right? SEC seems to support Bitcoin. But is the CBN on board now? Can I walk into a bank and open Kalu Bitcoin account? Can I do that?
Kalu, to be honest with you, we even those that work in the industry indirectly deal with banks. On paper, yes. In reality, no. Because before Cardoso came on board, banks were penalized for just transacting with crypto. So those pains or fines, banks are overly cautious. And the truth is that the CBN is still traditional. The CBN Nigeria is still traditionally managed. And there's no body language that shows that they are pro-crypto. They spoke about the CGN at one point. You remember the Naira people coin? There was this back and forth. So I think where the difference will be made is the Security Exchange Commission when they approve Bitcoin spot ETF on the NGX, for example.
Okay.
You see people trading that. Maybe passively banks will now, this is a SEC approved product you can go. But saying banks, the CBN categorically will allow Bitcoin fly, I doubt it.
Okay. And the second question for you, just if to go higher, go macro, right? If I was to invest in Bitcoin today in Nigeria, am I buying at a premium? Forget the price, but is this a premium or a discount? The price action today is all negative. We see it, but stocks are also negative today, right?
Yeah, but is it for me, is it for you, or is it for the average Nigerian?
I'm just saying, as an asset class, right? Is this thing at a discount, not the price? Is the fund is that a discount? Is that a premium?
Carlos, the discount first it's a discount. It has deflationary property. It has strong backings of global institutional giants, and with Donald Trump's assertion on Bitcoin strategic reserve, it's a matter of time. But the problem for the average Nigerian is holding power. Carlos, you can hold Bitcoin for 5-10 years. The average Nigerian doesn't have that capacity because of disposable income. So, for the upper middle class, the 1%, it's a discount. But for the average Nigerian populace, that's a very tricky question.
Interesting. Okay, let me get two guys to speak. I got Oluwasegun, I've got Sruwachi. So I just did them two guys. These are two folks that are really seeped into Bitcoin. To take us both local and international, I'm going to get both of them. Mr. Kosemani, let me just have Kosemani, please, hop on. You're welcome. I remember you telling me back then, as well 2 years ago, that you were buying Bitcoin. Are you still buying now? How many do you hold? If you can tell us. No, I'm not a tax guy. Are you still bullish on this?
Thank you, Mr. Kalu Aja. So happy to be back here, my brother. One of the best spaces in West Africa. Kudos to you.
Thank you, sir.
Every time you give me this platform, I'm always very, very excited. It's about 2 years now that I've been on your platform. We cannot do any other thing apart from BTC. First of all, Bitcoin is the best performing asset in the world as we speak. The best performing assets in the world. The annualized asset performance chart over the last 4 years of Bitcoin. Bitcoin obviously beats Magnificent 7, and you know what I'm talking about. It beats S&P 500, it beats real estate, it beats gold, it beats bond. Bond is useless. Bond is completely useless. Bitcoin outperforms everything on earth. I run a Bitcoin education news media outlet with my partner Jeremy Garcia. It's called Satoshi's Journal. I think it's the biggest and the most unadulterated, authentic Bitcoin-only education platform in Nigeria. I am very close to the SEC Director General, and he wrote his thesis in Bitcoin. We all know that, Dr. Timi Agama. And if you look around Africa, never ever, and I don't know anywhere else in the world, I stand to be corrected, will you find the Director General of the SEC or the Chairman of the SEC go live to speak at a Bitcoin conference? For the first time in the history of Africa and the history of Nigeria, Dr. Timi Agama attended our Bitcoin conference in Nigeria, December last year, in partnership with a television station on DSTV. So everybody in your space now should wake up. You will never lose one time in BTC if you don't sell within 4 years. Tell me what asset class can do better than Bitcoin. If Nigeria had bought Bitcoin, which I have said this for the past 3 years, if Nigeria had bought Bitcoin with just 1% of our reserve that we have had in the last 4 years, bro, right now, we will be getting ready to start offsetting our debt. As I speak to you, Mr. Kalu Aja, bro, Bitcoin is vital, bond are toxic. As I speak to you, Bitcoin is a superior digital capital. As I speak to you, Bitcoin has emerged as an institutional asset, and it is now more viable than bonds, of course, for public corporation. The number of public entities that are holding Bitcoin now is surging, from ETFs owning about 40% to countries, about 10 countries, private companies more than 10, public companies more than 50, mining companies more than 15, a total of almost more than 20 companies, about 13+% of the entire total Bitcoin in circulation, valuing over 264 billion. What asset class would you put money and in the next 4 years we do 100%? What is the CAGR of every other asset class compared to BTC? Mr. Kalu, I'll be very, very proud to tell you that the annualized return since 2009 to 2025 of Bitcoin is 230%, S&P 500 11.5%, gold 5%. I mean, US 10 years treasury, one decade treasury, rubbish, 1.5%, exclusive yield anyway. Real estate, 5.5%. Where would you put your money? Where would you put your money?
Very interesting stats. Yeah, you're really not. I mean, you are right. I mean, again, you were here 2-3 years ago, and I've seen your videos where you are mining Bitcoin with diesel generator in Lagos. So back then I was like, okay, you are paying for diesel to mine Bitcoin. Let me talk about that for a second. Has that been profitable? I.e., that was doing subsidy. Now there's no subsidy. Just before I come back to it, is that still?
I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a beautiful experience, but it was between me and my friend. We ran into different problems.
Gotcha.
And I wouldn't encourage anybody to do that, right?
Gotcha.
If you don't have the bag, please don't do it. You might run into problems.
Okay.
So for someone like me, I'm 100% invested in Bitcoin. 100%. Whether I am poor, whether I'm rich, I don't have a dime in Naira. Let me tell you something. One sat of Bitcoin is not greater than the Nigerian Naira. Every Nigerian here should listen to what I am saying. As I am speaking, one sat of Bitcoin is now 1 Naira 30 kobo. So if you save in piggy banks, that's one fair money, all of these things, shout out to all those beautiful innovations. You are deceiving yourself. There's no amount of percentage they give you month on month, 6 months, 1 year that can beat inflation in Nigeria.
What is SAT? What is that thing you said, SAT of Bitcoin? What's that thing?
There are 1 billion Satoshis in one Bitcoin,
Oh, okay.
just like you have a couple of kobos in 1 Naira and a couple of cents in $1, right? The unit of account of Bitcoin is in Satoshis, SATs. For short. So there are 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin. So if you are buying Bitcoin, if you have not gotten 100 million Satoshis, you don't have Bitcoin. What you have yet is SATs. So that smallest unit of account of Bitcoin, 1 SAT, is now greater than our own 1 Naira. That's what I'm telling you, Mr. Kalu. Yes, terribly. That time I came to your space 2 years ago, it was just like 20, 30 kobo to 1 Naira. 20, 30 kobo to 1 SAT. Today, 1 SAT is 1 Naira 31 kobo. Go and check it. And it is because Bitcoin is now $85,000. When Bitcoin goes back to $100,000, $107,000, 1 SAT will be almost 2 Naira. Why would you save in the Naira, my people? There is no way Nigerian government will escape it. I have inside information that they're already talking about Bitcoin now. They are squeezing the neck of the Director General of the SEC. Everybody wants to collect license. My company has also filed for the Accelerated Regulatory Incubation Program. We've been waiting. We kind of don't like the fact that Quidas and Busha are monopolizing the space, but shout out to Buchi and Blaolu. Those are great guys. But the truth is, Dr. Timi Agama is like a big daddy to me. And we keep telling him, license Bitcoin company first before you pay attention to other crypto jargons, because most of them are centralized. As a matter of fact, all of them are centralized and scam is involved. You can see what is happening in America. You see the way Donald Trump turned around after the first tweet that he made. You can see that the country will be losing a lot of money. Look, if you compare Bitcoin investment to XRP and the rest of them, you will realize that Bitcoin is anti-censorship. Bitcoin is finite, but all of these other ones, they have shared it. They already had a pre-mined operation before they even came into existence in the first place. Anybody on this space can mine Bitcoin. You can just kick off your you can buy a miner, get a computer, and then you start to get the reward. So there are many things I would love to say, but I just want to say is that on Earth today, in the last 10 years, nowhere on Earth today that any asset class has done better than BTC. I'll stay here and see if there's another opportunity to chime in. But thank you very much for bringing me up, Mr. Cow.
Thank you. I mean, that's a victory rule if I'd had one. When you say make a recommendation, it comes to pass, then you can talk like how my friend is speaking. And he's not wrong, right? Bitcoin's return has beaten every asset class. I think people are scared about putting money in there, but his data pans out. Let me get Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh, you heard what my friend from Nigeria spoke about, the returns. If you hold Naira, you will know how beating inflation. If you hold Bitcoin, you have beaten inflation. If you could give us the international angle, also the use case for this. I'm always a use case person, and my mind still goes back to that Bloomberg article where they said only 4% of Bitcoin is actually being used for transactions. The rest are being used just to hold, like he's doing, to beat inflation. So can you speak around that? Has this thing matured to the fact, the guy here spoke about Chainlink, has it matured to the fact that Bitcoin now has real day-to-day use, utility, that then allows us to invest and know we're buying something that is tangible? Can you speak around that, Mr. Singh?
Yeah, thanks for having me in the space. Yeah, I think it's been a couple of years since we talked along with Oluwasegun, my African brother here. So, I think the use case for Bitcoin now, I'm a physician on the West Coast in the US. So, I dove down the rabbit hole for Bitcoin in 2021. And the more I learned about Bitcoin, I understand it as a great store of value. That is the best use case for Bitcoin for long term. So I basically treat Bitcoin as a savings account, and then I use our dollar as my checking account. So whenever I have to make mortgage payment, car payments, any bills that are due, I use the dollar for that. But anything extra that I have left on the side, I actually convert it to Bitcoin right away, because I know long term it's the best savings account. And it's been giving, recently it's been giving about 50% annualized return per year. And I expect that to continue for probably the next decade. And the more you study this asset class, the more you realize that this is going to outperform anything else, at least for the next coming decade. So this is where I think for your audience, I would really want to say that there's a difference between Bitcoin and crypto. And I learned that early on. Initially, I had bought Bitcoin and some Cardano and Ethereum. And the more I learned crypto space, all the other tokens, they have a CEO. They can change the supply of the crypto asset anytime they want. Bitcoin is the only one that is the fixed supply of 21 million. And that's written in computer code, and you have to spend at least 100 hours learning this asset class to understand it. And, on your heading here, it says crypto strategic reserve. I would just clarify for the listeners and the audience here. It actually is a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Mm-hmm. So there's two parts of the thing that was passed. One is the Bitcoin strategic reserve, where they're holding the Bitcoin that they have, and then they're coming up with budget neutral ways to acquire more Bitcoin. And the second part is a crypto stockpile. So the crypto stockpile, they have all kinds of different tokens in there, and there's no plan to accumulate more, but they can always sell it to convert to Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So that's the differentiation. I think the people in the White House, they actually really understand that Bitcoin is different from the other crypto assets. Mm-hmm. And this is where I would really treat it as a savings account. Long term, you want to buy it when you're ready to hold it for at least 4 years time frame. And then I like to give 2 examples. I think I've given it in one of your past spaces as I was learning about Bitcoin. Gold, I think this resonates with everyone in the world. Gold, it took gold 5,000 years to go from a value of $0 to $1,000 because people trusted that this shiny rock has value, and it had to gain the trust of the people. And Bitcoin did the same thing in 10 years. It went from zero to $1,000 value in 10 years. So again, people are trusting that there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin, and they're trusting the code that's not going to change, and this monetary supply is backed by energy. So that's one example. And the second one is it's the fastest asset to $1 trillion. It beat even Google, Meta, Facebook, Tesla to get to a 1 trillion market cap. So this asset should not be ignored. I think if anyone's learning about the crypto space, spend some time learning about Bitcoin first. Crypto is more speculation, in my opinion, but everyone needs to learn that on their own. But the White House is portraying Bitcoin strategic reserve, and then they have a crypto stockpile. And again, being like a regular person working day to day, how do you figure out from there's actually millions of cryptos? I can spin up a crypto right now on the spot, and I can try shilling it in the space right now if I wanted to. And that's the problem with crypto. There's too many. There's no real use case for 99.9% of them. And that you learn as you're going through the process of the 100 hours. So Bitcoin, great savings tool. Long term, it should do really, really well. I think it's going to outperform any of the stock market. So I used to buy Tesla first in the past. I actually don't buy any Tesla stock either because I think Bitcoin will outperform Tesla. So
can I ask a question, Mr. Singh? Let me ask a question if you don't mind. So how does the Bitcoin strategic reserve help the sector? Lay it out for us, for those that are listening, like they really don't understand this stuff. Why does when the US says they want to have this Bitcoin reserve, and I thank you for posing that to assume, how does it now help Bitcoin, help, i.e. the investors, and even the pricing? What happens? Could you lay that out for us?
Yeah, excellent question. This is, I think, what Trump did by announcing the Bitcoin strategic reserve is he's bringing everyone's attention throughout the world to Bitcoin. So he's actually starting the game theory of nation states FOMOing into Bitcoin. So I think the biggest holder right now is US, about 200,000 Bitcoin. Second biggest is China, I believe, and then there's a few other countries. But this is where he's actually setting off the game theory of Bitcoin really taking off. And I would say this is like a great, anything under 100,000, if you can get into Bitcoin, it's a great buying opportunity. And there's a block of people. People think, oh my God, this is, let me check the latest price. It's 82,000. So it's on sale right now. Whenever people say 82,000, I can't buy one Bitcoin. No, you can save $1 per day. You can take your Naira, you can buy very minimal amounts, and you create it like a savings. So I think it's more of a habit that you need to create. But the urgency is more there now, because I think what Trump has done is he's actually called it out, and he's actually getting the nation states to really go into this asset class. So I think there's a lot of countries that already know it. There's, Dubai is mining Bitcoin. Abu Dhabi is. There's a lot of places all around the world that's already doing it. But he's bringing the attention now to like European folks that have been, and IMF that have been fighting Bitcoin. Guess what? They're going to flip now because now the greatest country in the US dollar being supreme is actually okay with Bitcoin now. So he's actually given the green light. And I think he started a nation-state FOMO. So I would tell your listeners, study the 100 hours really fast right now. If you can get some under 100, that would be great. And then just save.
Swaranjee, thank you very much, my brother. Let me quickly chip in something here for my Nigerian people. And it's been a long time we spoke. Shout out to you, Swaranjee, great Bitcoiner. Look, Mr. Kalu said something when Olumide was speaking, right? If banks in Nigeria will ever custody and sell Bitcoin. First of all, go back to 2 days ago. The Office of the Controller of the Currency in the US, just about 2-3 days ago, rescinded a previously policy that required their banks to get prior approval to basically demonstrate adequate risk controls before they are able to engage in cryptocurrency-related activities. In other words, what they are saying is, going forward in the United States of America, every freaking bank in America will buy and sell Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. Who is the Nigerian banker that will not do it? I can bet you from Segun Agbaje to Jim Ovia to Tony Elumelu, everybody and their banks will sell BTC. Already the banks are already backdoor processing Bitcoin transactions. If not, a lot of the banks would have died. Cryptocurrency transactions has really held some banks up there. If not, by now they would have taken over some banks the way Heritage Bank went off and Keystone Bank is rocking. Also, somebody spoke about buying Bitcoin at a particular time. You cannot time Bitcoin market. Like Swaranji said, there are 21 million Bitcoins, which means 100 million Satoshis in 21 million places, never to be printed again. Never again will you find 21 plus 1. So you can buy from the top, you can buy from the middle, you can buy from below. What you are basically doing is throwing away dirty trash, fiat, inflationary paper money, whether it is naira, dollar, pounds, and you are buying the best assets in the world, putting it in cyberspace and basically engineering it with artificial intelligence. Let it soar forever and ever. So if you want to buy Bitcoin, buy your own portion of the 21 million. Even if it is just 10,000 naira you can buy, that 10,000 naira will never go down the drain. I want to tell every Nigerian that it is the naira paper dollar that fluctuates. If you buy Bitcoin, those decimals that you bought will never ever change. Anybody that has held Bitcoin in 4 years, whether bear market or whatever market, will never ever lose $1 until you start to look at Bitcoin. Oh, look at the price. It's going up, it's going down. Then you start to panic. Hold it for 4 years, 12 months times 4. Nothing on earth will beat the CAGR of BTC. Look at cash reserve ratio of Nigeria. Look at NPR of Nigeria. Look at inflation rate of Nigeria. How the hell will people survive? There's no way the banks will be able to borrow money because our CRR is the largest in the world. Freaking hell. So if they're going to loan money, they're going to loan money to wealthiest. So the Market Saylor version of borrow money to buy Bitcoin cannot work in Nigeria because 27% ain't no bank going to borrow you less than 29, 30, 34%. So that can't work. The only way it can work is to work very hard, stack sats, dollar cost average, I call it naira cost average, as much as possible. Just hustle and buy. I bet it. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or anybody that wants to contest in 2027, if they don't campaign with BTC, my name is not Oluwasegun, because most likely they will lose. Because that is what the American government is doing now. And if we can see Donald Trump moving at a technology speed, as a technology startup, I've never ever seen such presidency on earth, even in the US. Moving as if he's trying to put out a most valuable product, to pitch for investors.
Interesting.
Look at our own country. It takes weeks and months to even deliberate on something that takes 2 seconds for an individual to solve. So overall, what I'm saying is Nigeria will get worse. If you look at our budget from 30-something trillion to 54 trillion, and then they will have to service debt with about maybe 13 trillion, and they will borrow about 8 trillion, and you look at the NPR, you look at inflation rates, you know that we are still going down the drain. Everything will continue to fall like domino. The only way you can escape this is to buy BTC.
Gotcha.
Capping, except everybody wants to deceive you.
Gotcha. Very, go ahead, Olumide.
Yeah, I just want to make a counter before I drop down. So, I'm pro Bitcoin, but I'm a realist, and I'm happy that Kalu is exposed to the financial system and he kind of understands how Nigeria works. So for the audience, just to put a balance and let people have the right perspective of how traditional finance looks at Bitcoin, while the America has taken the lead, it's still conservative in Europe and Africa. And the truth of the matter is that I don't see Bitcoin being mainstream like the way we see the United States under this first term of President Tinubu, at least. And the reason is not far-fetched, because Nigeria is fully integrated with the IMF, World Bank, and you could see what the IMF was doing to El Salvador Even the fact that at some point, El Salvador had to make concession.
Olumide, who is the IMF? Where is the IMF?
Sugar. You know what? Let him give balance. I'm not cutting anybody off. Let everybody speak. It's going to be an open space. Let him.
The truth of the matter is that we need to look at things from our perspective and our capability. Definitely, we all agree that Bitcoin has been one of the most best performing assets. In fact, I've written about that many times. But the problem I have with Bitcoin maximists is that they think the world evolves all around Bitcoin, and that's very untrue. So, for example, this year, I gave my outlook and I said, see, I'm not selling my Bitcoin holdings, but I'm not increasing buying pressure, at least because I see the fact that Bitcoin has a positive correlation with recession fears, and that has come to play. So if you have bought early, well, that's good. If you consider buying, it depends on your holding power, your capacity. The average Nigerian is not the average American where disposable income is high. The average Nigerian is even planning to spend about 60 to 65% on food. You're not expecting that person to say you should buy $1 on Bitcoin. That's a joke, So my closing mark is that, build whatever skills you can to have the financial capacity to be exposed to this asset. But not being exposed to Bitcoin is not the end of the world, my brother. Doesn't make you a loser. Okay. I think what really makes most difference here is the fact that you have the capacity to generate alpha. That's all. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, perfect. Again, guys, I'm not putting any opinion in here. If you notice, I've just allowed everyone to speak. Folks are listening in or tuning in because they want to understand and learn. And if you're an adult, you hear everything, you can sieve out what you want to sieve out. But the important thing is to get the information. When you get the information, then you can basically do what you want to do. But we want to know what's going on and how can we be a part of it or not be a part of it. Let's get Afribull. Afribull, you've heard us speak. You've heard the positive side. You've also heard the traditional guys also speak. I want to get what's your take on this? Is this US is bullish, Nigerians are bullish? What's your take?
Yeah. Hi, Carly. Thanks for the check. I think just to go back to the initial, personally, I'm long Bitcoin. I'm pro Bitcoin. I hold Bitcoin. I think half my portfolio is in Bitcoin. I used to have other altcoins, Ethereum, Cardano, but I've kind of taken up my position in that. With the reserve, and I think Olumide so I've touched this quite well, and I even want to pose a question. With the US Reserve, that kind of gives a very institutional position to Bitcoin. And most people, if you're not exposed, it's still a very good time to buy into Bitcoin. I think there's very few asset classes in the next 5 years that are going to match the performance of Bitcoin, even looking at the fundamentals today. There's still some volatility. So when it comes as a store of value, I'm quite positive. I'm quite optimistic about that. But as a reserve, it's very. I think right now anyone that speaks quite confidently of what is really going to play out as far as a reserve, I think as far as globally, it's still quite early. I say this, and this is probably the question, because how I see it is, as if from Bitcoin, people still purchase Bitcoin with the dollar. In the short term, the reserve itself strengthens the dollar. And I say this because dollar is still a major medium of exchange for major trades, the oil market, SWIFT and all that. So even looking at the short term, dollar isn't going to disappear anytime soon. It's still inflationary, and over time it loses due to the inflationary pressure of the dollar. But I still see the fact that BTC is pegged to dollar, most of it, and if we agree that Bitcoin is not going to be a predominant means of exchange, most people are going to purchase Bitcoin with dollar. And maybe Olumide or any of the speakers can maybe touch on this.
I can quickly touch on that. Afribull, thank you very much. Be careful with your other altcoin bags. I know you know what you're doing, and it's good that you're a Bitcoiner. Firstly, any country that buys Bitcoin or that can print the money of their country and buy Bitcoin now is just front running. And they'll be one of the richest countries in the world. America is smart. They don't want their US dollar to go down the drain. So obviously, Donald Trump already said there's not going to be a CBDC, right? So USDT will most likely be the Trojan horse to keep the US dollar out there, because those stablecoin guys are purchasing the US treasuries. What I think we should do in Nigeria is to support Deji Convexity's CNGN. Shout out to Deji and what he's doing with CNGN. The moment CNGN is interoperable with as many blockchains as possible, that's when you start to see the magic. People will buy Bitcoin directly with the Naira. And like you said, this is the best time to get into it, not until all that nation wakes up. About Europe, who gives a fuck about what Europe is doing, by the way? Excuse my French. People that cannot even prove the gold in their coffers. You already know that the Bank of England already messed up with the gold. And the US definitely know that Fort Knox will embarrass them. That's why they quickly, position themselves with the Bitcoin strategic reserve, not crypto strategic reserve. Today as we speak, any country that buys Bitcoin and keeps it as a reserve, one thing they can easily do is to position themselves to have something greater than the dollar, so they can negotiate with anybody worldwide. You don't need to sell it. You can actually borrow against it. That's one. Two, Bitcoin gets its value from its network. In other words, Bitcoin gets its net worth from its network. Beyond keeping Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, beyond keeping Bitcoin as an asset class that you hold forever and ever. Say, if you don't send Bitcoin across Bitcoin on-chain, then you don't know the value of Bitcoin. Bitcoin will never get any value. It is not because Michael Saylor is buying. It's not because President Donald Trump has announced strategic Bitcoin that Bitcoin will go up. That's what people are missing. Hey, I'm talking to Mr. Callum. Don't disturb me, baby. So, that's my daughter. I'm sorry, Cam. So, what gives Bitcoin its value is the network, the fact that you can send Bitcoin wherever I am now. Carlo, if you are in Argentina, if I am in Uzbekistan, I can send you $1 billion just like anybody can send you $1. That is the value of Bitcoin. Who cares if you hold $20 billion, $100 billion of Bitcoin and you cannot send it to anybody? The thing is, you cannot censor me. You cannot censor me. You cannot stop me from sending money to somebody. That is the value.
Let me ask you a question. Afri, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, there's just two things. I think just a quick tangent. So, just for your viewers, if you've just been exposed to crypto recently and you're looking at Bitcoin, looking at altcoins, most people are going to run into altcoins and maybe consider trading, and because you might see returns, you might see the scales, but I would advise generally to stay away from altcoins. However confident you are, most people lose money in altcoins. And I've seen very, very smart people who trade for a living, who trade professionally. They've made a lot of money in altcoins and they've continued to, but they've also lost a lot. Some of them have been lucky to come back, but a good portion can't come back from those losses. So if you're casual, if you're new to crypto and you're a good casual holder, generally speaking, stick to the Bitcoin, the main coins, maybe the altcoin, Ethereum maybe, but I would personally advise, if you're not really experienced in trading, if you're not really experienced in trading all the asset classes, no matter how much technical knowledge you believe you have, altcoins might not be the best bet for you. Going back to the second, just to reply to our initial discussion, my question is coming from, and this is another point of view. Bitcoin is decentralized, which is both its benefit from my perspective, but also the drawback. So it being decentralized is the confidence I have in it being a store of value, and it's not really going anywhere. And that's my confidence there. But being as a reserve, it opens up other questions, especially geopolitical, because you then have you're asking countries to take this crypto as a reserve, but it being decentralized, meaning you still have the bad actors who bypass on the chain, who bypass sanctions, who trade illegally, who buy drugs, black market. And this is, again, it being decentralized is why we like it, but it also has these problems. That's why while the US is pushing it as a lunar, but the EU is still very skeptical. You have other countries other even African countries are also quite skeptical as well of adopting Bitcoin. regarding to laws and regulation, adopting it fully. And even with Nigeria, maybe you guys know this, but laws with crypto right now in Nigeria are not clear.
Yeah, that's really
truly not.
Yeah,
it's legal, but it's not. There are a lot of, and I say this from my professional, because of the financial services, my data. There's a lot of crypto companies that are looking to come to Nigeria, platforms, exchanges, but the laws aren't clear. You know, SEC says one thing, CBN says one thing, but there is no uniformity. The banks say a different thing. You know, that's
actually there is a strategic guideline and framework put together by the SEC, and that's industry wide. The SEC actually consulted practically everybody.
Oluwasegun, if
it has been passed as we speak by the National Assembly. It is in front of the president, and with the hope that the president is going to sign it into law.
Okay.
But currently right now, there is still a lot of uncertainty. I speak from, I speak in regards to platforms and businesses trying to come in. There's still a lot of uncertainty on where Nigeria stands on crypto. So if
what's the name of the bill? The one that the House has passed and it's up front, President. Which is it? What's the name? Do you have a name for it?
So I'm going to have to ask Dr. Timi what the name of the bill is. But as at the time I was in his office a couple of weeks ago, I know very well because I spoke on Channels TV with Ladi when the framework and the guideline came out. And the framework and the guideline are just part of the bodies of work that passed through the three readings. And, it's in front of the president now. I think that the SEC DG is getting feedback from multiple people in the ARIP program and the RI program. RI is regulatory incubation. ARIP is accelerated regulatory incubation, whereby everybody will have to pay some amount of money. Then they check your technology, they check what you have, and they give you a go. Just like those were the programs, the RI were the programs that Busha and Busha of them Laolu and Quidat of them Buchi, passed through. So as we speak, what is basically happening is it is in front of the presidency, but there are a lot of lobbying from governors, from senators, from ministers. Everybody wants to get a license now because they now see what is going on. But some things have to change. For example, the 10% capital gain is trash. Why would I pay you 10% of my $100,000 or my $1 million? That's nonsense. That should be worked upon. But nobody really, challenged that when we were making noise about it. I had a television show, the first ever in the history of Africa, for 1 hour for good 1 year, not sponsored, fully paid for, in partnership with Pop Central. Shout out to my friend that owns Pop Central on DSTV. The first ever time a Bitcoin show will be on DSTV. For 1 year, we were announcing, do not let this law be passed. 10%, Kalu, if you buy Bitcoin and you dispose, you will pay 10% to the Nigerian government. It's terrible. It's terrible. So what I'm saying is, unfortunately, the law is already on the table of the president now. We are hoping the president maybe sign or maybe doesn't sign because we don't have full details of what is in there, but the law needs to be adjusted. For example, Nigeria needs to, obviously, like what Africa said, cater to Bitcoin and see it as what it's supposed to be. It's a finite asset. It's now a reserve asset of the United States of America. We don't even know the amount of gold that we have. Gold is not finite. Of course, it's scarce, but we all know what gold has been doing for the past 10 years, incomparable to what Bitcoin is doing. And then, how can we even count our gold? Fort Knox cannot even say the amount of gold that is there. Already, England is telling you we don't know where the gold is. So the entire Europe, whether they like it or not, they are a surveillance type of financial system that they operate over there. So they will like CBDC over there. Who is going to use their CBDC? The E-Naira died. That's why CNGN is now moving forward, because it's going to be most likely interoperable with as many exchanges as possible. But remember, the CNGN is a wrapped CBDC. But the only thing that will make it scale and it will be able to function like USDT or USDC is if they allow it to move up and down. But as I hear, it is only on the 2 licensed exchanges. There's a lots of information that we have access to, but we hope Nigerians are listening and are learning. And I want to appeal with you, Mr. Kalu. Please, your space is the space that has educated the most Nigerians. I can say statistically, because even when I don't come in, I ask people about you. I hear about you in luxury places, in middle-class restaurants. People know you that you don't even know that they know you. Your words fly around. Do more of Bitcoin-based spaces so that posterity will judge, so that the future will say, yes, Kalu was a part of the people that directed Nigeria and Nigerian government and Nigerian people to the right place. Because it will pain all of us. If the wrong people advise President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if the wrong people advise him, and then it allows Algorand, Cardano, Dogecoin to be in anything that Nigeria will buy.
I got you.
Nigeria going to invest in.
Hold on. So, Afri, are you? Have you made it? Are you okay?
Yeah, no, just to tie up. So I think, I'm fine with that response. I think that, as far as regarding Nigeria, that clears that up. But I said, as a store of value, I'm quite positive with Bitcoin. If you're not involved in Bitcoin here, it's worth exposing yourself at least a percentage of your portfolio to Bitcoin. If not, I can go as far as saying if you want to have a majority of your portfolio in Bitcoin, it might be a good decision if you're looking at 5-year horizon. But as a reserve, I'm cautiously optimistic. I do see the benefits. Or there are geopolitical elements that will play out, whether countries do fall in line or whether it goes as planned. But definitely, Bitcoin isn't going anywhere. But as a reserve, I'll watch and see how it plays out over time.
All right, thank you. I have just a few questions. I had heard about what's it called? The stable coin. It's Nigerian stable coin. There's something SEC is doing. I will talk about that. CNGN. Okay.
NGN. The NGN is for Naira.
Okay, so that is private sector, right?
Absolutely private sector. But they are kind of trusted guys because they are the ones in charge of A&D forensics. So they've been teaching banks compliance, yada, yada, yada. And they've been on it for more than 4 years. It's a tough road for them. And it's supposed to be 1-to-1. We don't know what the facts is. I'm not shilling it.
What is 1-to-1? What is on the one side? What's the one on the one side is what? Dollar or Naira?
It's Naira actually.
Naira to what? What's the other one?
You say what?
You say 1-to-1. What are the ones? There's Naira. What's the other one?
It's basically one Naira to one CNGN.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the USDT business model? The USDT business model is obviously they buy US treasuries, right? To give them your own currency or your own dollar, and they give you a synthetic dollar that you can move around. You cannot move the US dollar around like the way you can move the USDT around. For example, when the banks are closed, when the US dollar is closed, it will basically have to move through the SWIFT rail. SWIFT is like the Gmail of the financial landscape, right? So what CNGN will do is it will make Naira move like USDT can move. You may not basically need USDT again. If Nigeria government package this thing well, it is basically putting Naira everywhere. Naira will now be able to fly everywhere with CNGN. Like USD can now fly everywhere. You can go to Russia, you can go to Iran. Nobody can basically send so. Of course, there will be that compliance.
But it's the Naira. So this and e-Naira. What is the this CND, the stable Naira and the e-Naira? What is the differentiation?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. You remember the e-Naira was approved and launched by the ex-president and now ousted and of course behind bars former central bank of like Emefiele and Buhari, respectively. It was a central bank digital currency, the e-Naira itself, built by a Caribbean company called BITT. They messed up because they did the same bureaucracy they always do, and they threw out Interstellar. Interstellar is a company owned by a Cameroonian, a Canadian, and a Nigerian and a Canadian. And those are the guys really building around PAPS. If you heard about PAPS, they're really working with that's the Pan-African Payments Settlement, yada, yada, yada. Basically trying to take out MasterCard, Visa, and make sure we are able to transact amongst ourselves in Nigeria after, etc., etc. The underlying technology, these are the guys working on it. So the e-Naira was a central bank digital currency. It's a Naira, but the Naira that is now on a distributed ledger technology. It was supposed to be able to move around. But because it's a surveillance tool, because it is still the same inflationary Naira, because it is not stable, because it is it was poorly designed. And that's why it didn't go anywhere, right? That's one. Now, the e-Naira, the CNGN is a stable currency that is not a central bank digital currency, privately owned, not government owned like the e-Naira. Mm. It is a wrapped version of the e-Naira, almost built on the same blockchain, but I stand to be corrected. It's supposed to be on the distributed ledger technology, but I don't know on what particular chain. But I've seen their GitHub, and I can see that they've built for multiple chains, right? So I don't want to start listing that now. If anybody,
Okay,
maybe I can
let's leave that for now. I was just curious. Let's leave that for now. I was just curious. Maybe I think I know them. I might talk to them. I just wanted to understand more from your perspective. Let me get to Galaman and then Morai, and then sort of get more questions in. But I do have a question for you. Someone is asking online that, look, if I buy Bitcoin, I don't own my own wallet because I do not have enough to buy enough to own a wallet. Who owns that Bitcoin? Do I own it, or is it owned? That's essentially what he's asking. If I don't buy the Bitcoin and store in a wallet, can I still say I own it? That's really the question the guy's asking online.
Okay, thank you very much. I like this. So you hear not your keys, not your coin. If you don't own the private key to the Bitcoin, you don't own it. For example, your Bitcoin on Coinbase, Binance are not your Bitcoin.
Whose own is it?
So you basically just have the public keys that you can use to move it, right? Now, Bitcoin basically don't exist anywhere, right? You just have a key signer. It's more like you just have a key that you can use to open the door. You don't own the house. Nobody basically just own that Bitcoin. You just own the key to the amount that you invested your naira or your dollar or your currency for. So if you buy Bitcoin and it is not on your own private wallet, basically you do not download the Bitcoin blockchain and you are not running a Bitcoin node, everybody go and check what a Bitcoin node. Hey, stop that. Everybody go and check what the Bitcoin node is. If you're not running a Bitcoin node, then you're in trouble. The Bitcoin does not.
But even if I can't afford it, so he knows that, but he's saying he cannot afford the wallet. So does it mean you should not buy it till you get money for the wallet?
No, that's the scam thing that is going on in Nigeria now due to lack of education, and that's what I'm telling you. You have the biggest platform. I teach Bitcoin every day. That's my mantra on Africa Bitcoin Spaces, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Anybody that cares, follow me, follow Satoshi channel. But listen, there is nothing like buying a wallet. Wallet is free. All of us here, including you, can set up Coinbase on your laptop. You can just download the Bitcoin blockchain, less than 1 terabyte, just about 7 and something gig. And once you download it, a few syntax here and there, boom, you are now on the blockchain. You will see everybody's transaction. You may not just know who won the transaction. You will see Donald Trump transaction. You will see Michael Saylor transaction. You just don't know that it's their transaction. You can connect. You cannot even use Bitcoin to steal because they will most likely connect you. And if it's law enforcement that is looking for you, you are in trouble. So anybody telling you to come and pay money for wallet, they are scamming you. It is happening in Nigeria. I told the CEO of Divest, I remember some time ago, Kelechi, and I told him, Kelechi, what's up? Why do you expose the privacy of your users? Because I use your Divest to convert Bitcoin to cash. And then I realized it's the same wallet address you give to me, you give to almost everybody. And it was like, do you know how much I pay for wallets? Yada, 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 yada. We cannot be changing wallet all this. I said, oh my God, they are scamming you, Kelechi. Go and tell your people to do their research. Nobody sells wallets to you. So, and all those things are just because the information is not out there. Education is key. Go and do your research. Bitcoin wallets are free. You just need to be able to download a particular app that you trust, which I cannot endorse any for you right now. And then whatever you put inside of it, if you have the private keys or mnemonics or 12-word or 24-word seed phrase, like they usually call it, then you are lucky you keep that Bitcoin for yourself for life. Bitcoin basically gives you the opportunity to be your own central bank, not your own bank. Not your own bank. Once you have Bitcoin and you hold it in private key wallet or cold storage, it means that you are now your own Coinbase. You don't need CZ or Binance. You don't need strategic Bitcoin of the United States of America. But no, if it is on my company, but me cash, if it is on anybody's company, bro, so nobody you get that Bitcoin.
Yeah, but so the question is, I hear that, but the question is, so I can't afford the wallet, but I can still buy. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but when I buy stocks, if I buy stocks in America, it's the same thing. There's a central custody in Nigeria, same thing. I buy a stock, central custody. Nobody ever says it's not my stock. It's in central custody. Why is it not the same thing? Why can't it be in central? Isn't the wallet central?
It's possible. So that's basically you trust in the platform, right? I don't just want to endorse any platform, including my platform. I mean, we're rebuilding our own platform also, but basically, of course, the decentralized platforms are the platform that runs escrow, P2P, Bitcoin to cash back to Bitcoin. You trust them if they have the AML controls, the anti-terrorism financing controls, and like somebody said earlier, I forgot the person that said the type of people that are invested in it, or don't trust the investors. But if they have the track record of that you can verify. We say something in Bitcoin community, do not trust verify. If you can verify them that these people are trustworthy, their liquidity is powerful, then you leave your Bitcoin there. You understand? But it's like you're buying a land or a house and you're leaving the keys or the documents of that house and that land with your money that you bought it from or the real estate that you bought it from, thinking that you can trust them and they give you a photocopy.
Go ahead.
I think we need to also understand why some people don't want to own Bitcoin personally. So if you look at what BlackRock did, you don't really need to have the Bitcoin wallet to get exposed to Bitcoin. You know, the contract, just like the way you buy ETFs. So that's why a lot of Americans feel comfortable around it and they feel safe. Yes, not your keys, not your that mantra, but I think it's all about your objective. Do you really want to just track the assets, or you're looking at it for the point you want to own personal, like digital, you want to have personal possession of it, and you have the understanding of how the Bitcoin works personally? Because don't forget that a lot of people have lost their wallet. Over a year, there was a guy that was kidnapped, the CEO of Ledger, you know, and he had to the report was like he had to drop some Bitcoin. So yeah, it has its own risk. So if he has understanding about Bitcoin, yeah, he can. But if he wants to, he can go through the ETFs. There are a lot of Nigerians buying BlackRock ETFs and it's working fine.
So final question is that I can buy Bitcoin without putting on the wallet and I'm okay. That's what I want to get. Is it okay to do that? Okay.
It's not okay to do that. I'll tell you the fact. The Bitcoin on BlackRock ETF and other 11 approved ETF back in there, all of them, Bitwise, are not your Bitcoin. Of course, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but here the point the boy is asking. I know I have to have a wallet. I cannot afford it. Are you saying he must afford it before he invests? That's really where he's...
No, that's what I'm saying. Affordability means that there is a cost attached to it.
Okay. So
there is no cost attached to it.
Okay.
For example, BlackRock iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF charges a sponsor fee of 0.25 annually. However, there is also a promotional fee structure that they have placed into the 12 months after the ETF. So, I mean, BlackRock will charge you what you can ordinarily don't get charged. And many people in the world, don't want to go through the stress of research and development. They don't want to go through the stress of getting that education. But someone like you on your space, unadulterated, unfiltered education is what we should give, not the one that will be rubbing people's head. Of course, BlackRock is good. I'm not saying they are bad, but go and look at the CEO of BlackRock, how he became a Bitcoiner. For more than 10 years, this man has talked down on Bitcoin. Larry Fink has talked down on Bitcoin as if Bitcoin is trash. But he realized that BlackRock will fail if they don't start to buy Bitcoin. So what he's doing now is buying as much Bitcoin as possible, and they're selling paper to you. What you have on BlackRock is paper.
I hear you. I hear you. Let them go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's missing the point. I think it's fine. But see, there are different options depending on your certification. We all know that there are advantages and disadvantages. What the investor should understand is that, BlackRock gives you the exposure to have exposure in Bitcoin without physically dealing with the complexity around the blockchain technology. Simple as that. And that is why they've been able to get in more than $55 billion under asset management. You understand? So I think the question should go back to the certification. Somebody's saying that one has one advantage or the other. Nobody's doing that. I think it all boils down to the person. If he's in America, definitely he can go through BlackRock. If he's in Nigeria, well, he has to go through the crypto exchange. Finance, I think he can go through that and get it. And if he has that, he can withdraw it to his own personal wallet. It's simple. I don't think it's that complicated, Carl.
Okay, perfect. Let's get you guys to hop in. So we've got Igala Man. Then we've got Moriah. Then we'll take the crypto. Just let's go like that. Igala Man, Oluwaseun, and then the crypto. Igala, you got the floor. Go ahead. Igala Man. Okay, it's not. Let's take Oluwaseun. Oluwaseun, hi. Researching right now about the future of money. Very interesting. Oluwaseun, can you speak? Oluwaseun going once, Oluwaseun going twice. Let's take the crypto preacher. The crypto preacher, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Kalu, for your opportunity. Shout out to everyone in the house. Olumide Adesina, Olu of Botley Cash, and a couple of other guys right here. Sorry if I don't mention your name. I want to ask a question. I also want to make comment. I think talking about legality of Nigeria, about crypto, a couple of things have been said. I really don't think crypto is legal in Nigeria. This is why I said so. Because the industry in Nigeria has been really hostile, irrespective of the fact that provisional license have been given to two exchange platforms. But I still don't see the need why these exchange platforms, you can't type them on you can't type your address and actually access them and do transactions with them. You can try that if you think that I'm not being sincere with some of this information. No exchange platform in Nigeria does transaction seamlessly. All of the addresses, they have been blocked by agents of government. So we cannot have SEC say something, CBN say some other thing, EFCC blackmail cryptocurrency as a means for criminals to do transactions. It's more like saying that someone buys a land and from the proceeds of fraud, and they blame the naira for it. So there's something else I really also want to say as for that. If we're saying that all is well in crypto in Nigeria, how come a lot of platforms actually right now are blocking Nigerians from accessing their platforms? I will throw this open to a lot of to those of us on stage, because a few days back I commented on an article that said that Nigerians have been blocked from airdrops and a couple of opportunities. Even myself inclusive, there are some opportunities to do business and job. That all of this side that has to do with crypto has been blocked from Nigerians. So is crypto really legal in Nigeria? Thank you.
Okay, that's a good question. Oluwaseun, are we still under that sanction where you are very positive about this thing, but with all our support, after India is Nigeria, right? In the whole world, after India adoption issues, no, Nigeria is the second adopted crypto nation, right?
Yeah.
So why are they still blocking us?
Okay, so I want to tell you this. Look, that's on the surface. I understand what Crypto Preacher is talking about. That's my guy right there. And Crypto Preacher is a social commentator and a cryptocurrency analyst. He is not invested in this space like I am, right? I educate people, I teach people, I run the business, I move around with the regulators, I move around the capital market. So Crypto Preacher lacks some information that I have. Shout out to Crypto Preacher and his broad knowledge of the space. One of the persons who have been advocating for the positive things to basically happen. You can find and catch him on Channels TV. And I'm telling you this, most of those senators and ministers, all of them don't already get BTC. If not, why would this Director General of the SEC write his thesis in Bitcoin? If not, why would the Director General of the SEC attend a Bitcoin conference in Nigeria and spoke for 30-something minutes? You can just check Nigeria Bitcoin on my profile and go.
Yeah, but sure, he's saying but what he's saying that, like, if as a Nigerian you're not getting tapped into the global market, or being blocked out. So is
that one they bring us true? Okay. Yeah, for me, I understand. Me, what I'm doing here is to wake all Nigerians up and don't let all the yada of our country, put you behind and make you miss this train. That is how we have lost the opportunity for 16 years.
Okay.
So I know what Crypto Preacher is saying makes sense. But while we are doing this, one sat is already greater than our naira.
Okay.
I can bet you that the son of the president, I don't just want to start saying some things here, already have people in his office lining up documents and proposals so that if they can tell the SEC DG to please, favor them for licensing. And the SEC CDG is somebody who doesn't want to corrupt his office. So basically it's trying to say you only get this license on merit. But who will they give license first if it's not giving Bitcoin only companies license first? So it's going to be politicized. They know what they are doing. But if you look at it very well, how are they processing money? Let me tell you, go to bitcoin.com and see how they are processing money. You can buy Bitcoin with Naira. Go to Yellow Card. You can buy Bitcoin with Naira. Go to Strike. You can buy Bitcoin with Naira. Most of all the international companies, you can buy Bitcoin with Naira. And you say Bitcoin is not legal. It doesn't have to be legal. It is already in our Finance Act. The government will collect 10% if you dispose of your Bitcoin. Wake up, everybody. That's what I am saying.
Okay.
It is not bad.
He asked a different question. He actually asked you a different question, Oluwasegun.
Let me answer the question.
Yeah.
So, if you look at the context of financial in the space. When President Tinubu campaigned, he made so many promises about crypto integration, and this thing didn't come to play because they now had a rapid devaluation, and at some point they were looking for a scapegoat, and unfortunately the crypto space was used as a scapegoat. And you know what happened to Binance and different things. The reality is that, like I said, Kalu, when we started the space, I said based on the information I have and what I've seen in the space, it's very unlikely that we see the kind of progress we've seen in the world's largest economy, United States, coming to play. And Crypto Preacher is highlighting the concerns because he also understands that if you look at the securities, the update on the rules for crypto exchanges and the classification of Bitcoin and Ethereum. First of all, they called Bitcoin and Ethereum securities, which at that time I was so provoked because I was like, who's Bitcoin going to be identified with, you know? I think after some they had to update the new rules. And if you look at even the new rules, it's kind of very difficult, you know, and it's not really what we expected. However, it has shined light, and Cointelegraph did a very comprehensive article today. I think maybe Crypto Preacher must have seen it about why the crypto reforms in Nigeria might not work. And one of the key reasons is simple, you know, the space has the trust in the space has weakened. So yeah, it's good to see this optimism, but Kalu, on paper or in reality, we are not having it. The banks are not really concerned about this right now. Security SEC slower. You look at the crypto exchanges that were even giving temporary. We've not seen much from them. So Kalu, it's not as the way it is.
Okay.
I know it's not as the way it is. Give me 1 second, let me tell you again. Maybe you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to champion an argument. I am opening the eyes of you and everybody listening. There are more than 1,000 crypto businesses that are transacting with the banks. That's what I'm telling you. It is, don't believe what they say. Check what they are doing. A startup can come up today and you will do Bitcoin to cash back to Bitcoin. Who is giving them APIs to connect? That's what I'm saying. I am heavily invested in this space. That's what I am telling you. Who is processing the transactions of the cryptocurrencies in our country? Is it the tailors or the mechanics or the people in Ladipo market? Are we not talking about the banks? There is no crypto exchange that can survive without the interoperability with financial structure that currently exists. That's what I am telling you. Go and check their APIs. I don't have to be mentioning their names, so it doesn't look as if I am whistleblowing. All of them process it. All of them process Bitcoin. They process transactions. Yes, when they do their banking meetings, they act like they don't. I am a loudmouth in this space. Spent bastard money to be on DSTV, to be advertising Bitcoin and be saying this thing. I know what it takes me to keep relationship with the Director General of the SEC. That's a good man. Carlo, you need to bring Dr. Timmy. I can work with you to bring Dr. Timmy to your space.
See, I understand your argument. I understand your argument, and I'm not disputing what you're saying. But just for the space and for people to understand that, see, on the open, you know, these things are not as it is. I have friends that they still have their accounts blocked because of exposure in the crypto space. And for example, I think I'm well exposed in the banking industry to at least have a better information on why these things are still like that. So if you look at Cardozo's language, if you look at the NSC, there are 3 cases that they had to seize people's crypto. So it's not like it's smooth, Carlo. The honest truth is that if you want to deal with crypto, maybe you must have had, like the CBN has said that, see, you must have gotten a related license from the SEC. It's open. So if you are going through the back channel, well, that's not for me to decide because it's already a black channel. But the honest truth is that we see a future in crypto, but it's going slower. It's not like what we are seeing in America, and people have really left the space. A lot of big stakeholders. I went to Tech Summit last year. I saw at least 30 Nigerians in different countries running blockchain projects, and the first thing I was asked them, why not coming back home? And they said that the space is still unfriendly. So Kalu, we can say all the beautiful things about, but the reality is that the average Nigerian knows that it's quite. Look at the P2P market now. I have exposure. Look at the P2P market. So it's still not as smooth as people are saying it is, but like they say, different strokes for different folks.
I hear you.
You are very right. I agree with you. You are very, very correct.
So let me just, I hear you. So later I'm going to ask you guys what assets
do not believe what they say. Check what they do.
Okay. So later I'm going to basically ask and see what assets you guys, I don't know if the word recommend is usable here, but what assets you guys want us to look at in case you want to invest. So for those listening that want to take away one or two assets, I know Bitcoin is going to be there, but let's also ask you guys that. So once we do the question, I've got Tobechukwu, Eric, and Moriah. I think Moriah was first. Let's do Moriah, Eric, and Tobechukwu, and then Leslie. So Moriah, you've got the floor, please. Moriah, Eric, Tobechukwu, and Leslie. Moriah, go ahead. Moriah _Mbe. He's not there. Let's get Mr. Tobechukwu. Moriah, I can see you speak, but I can't hear you. I see your mic is off.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, sir.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. My name is Moira. Thank you for everyone who's been talking today. So I've been listening to it, and there is just something that I wanted to say concerning this whole thing, because I feel like we really need to set the perspective right here. So I think in 2025, Bitcoin is a proper asset class, which I think everyone should engage in. But at the same time, I also feel that we need to be cautious about this, because over the past few years, it has proven that it cannot be a hedge. In fact, gold has proven over time that it is the hedge, that is gold and the USD index, and not Bitcoin. And again, if you are talking about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, I mean, they are good asset class, but why would you want to invest in an asset that is policy exposed? What I mean is, okay, today Trump says something, and then the asset goes up, and then someone might hack it and say something, and then the currency drops. And again, it has also proven that after 4 years, the America always elect a complete check into office. So in the next 4 years, maybe someone is going to come on board that will be anti-Bitcoin, anti-crypto, and then the whole thing will just collapse, or it will be directionless. Okay, so I think why it's good that we invest in this space is also very, very cautious for us to know what we are doing, because it is an unregulated space. There are so many characters there. The characters in the crypto space, these are rude, raw, unregulated people who say all kinds of things. So why would you want
Moriah, what if I told you? I know.
I just want to round up by saying that this is 2020. If you do not invest in Bitcoin or in any crypto asset class, that is not the end of the world for you. There are so many things to invest in. That is not the end of the world for you. That's just what I wanted to say.
Yeah, so the point I was trying to make when you said that was like, the currency markets are also not regulated, and that's like a 6 trillion a day market also. So I hear you completely, and I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not giving you facts. I'm just playing devil's advocate. If the market is not regulated, does it mean we can't play in it?
Yeah, but you saw what happened to the mini space. You saw, you don't understand. What makes the banks and the currency market different from the crypto market is that banks are the market makers. Banks are the kings there. It's a $8 trillion market where transactions are ruled by JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Deutsche Bank. This gone through about a third of FX transactions around the world daily. So we have some form of gentleman agreements, In the crypto market, for example, apart from Bitcoin and Ethereum, there are thousands of coins. In fact, at some point in the year, 50,000 meme coins were produced daily. Now, if you look at what happened just the first quarter, look at President Trump, for example, how a lot of Nigerians lost investing on that token. If we had a regulated entity, President Trump would have been a bit different on how he would have pushed that coin. Now, you see, the thing is that's why I'm always very careful talking about this investment thing, because Nigerians are on the losing end. There are a lot of people that put their added money saved into these things. And
correct.
We can always say that, because we have earning power, we can overlook and move on. Many of them can move on. You know, if you just look at the timeline, for example, I see a lot of Nigerians crying. And it's very painful because nobody protects them. Americans are protected because they have an enforcement agency. You see the number of cases that crypto scams, rug pulls, but we don't see that in Nigeria. So why would I be telling Nigerians to put their hands in fire because we are getting amazing returns? I would definitely say no. That is where I come in. I'm a realist. I look at things based on the conditions in my environment. Nigerians are taking risks because the Naira is not doing so well. But I will not say invest in a project where 9 out of 10 go to 0. No, I will not say that at all. So
all right. So let me just chime in here on what the banker and Olumide said. Very much like what you expect from bank people. In 2017, when I came back to Nigeria from New York City, I built the United Bank of Africa Diaspora Banking application. Then UBA used to do cross-border transactions with MoneyGram, Western Union, and Wire Transfer. It was me who told them, look, I've been to UBA New York City at the Rockefeller Building. What you have right there is a Nostros and Vostros arrangement. You don't even have a commercial banking thing. And it stresses people, undocumented Nigerians in the diaspora, especially New York, London, and Paris, like you said you have, to do transactions. Once it's 5 o'clock, they can't do transactions, except you live in the city center. If you don't live in Manhattan, New York, or the city center of anywhere in America, you may not be able to send more than $900, right? So, but I haven't operated and built for the bank. I've never been a banker, don't get me wrong, but I have built technology for them. I realize what they run is fractional reserve banking. So banks will always never want to tell you that there is something called hard money. There is something that is finite because they print paper money all the time. Look at the M2 of the entire world. Look at the M2 of Nigeria. The more they print money, the more inflation destroys us. So any banker in this space telling you anything, if they tell you it's 1 o'clock, go and check the time. It might be 7 p.m. Because they print money in the bank, a bank can write off any goddamn debt. You cannot do that in Bitcoin. And I'm not talking about multiple cryptocurrency. I'm not giving you financial advice. I am also a realist. We were all shitcoiners. When I say shitcoin, I don't even mean altcoins. All this paper money, we were all believers in it. Nobody knew Bitcoin before. If I knew Bitcoin in 2009, I would not be in Carlos space. I would most likely be in America.
If I want to interject you, the issue is you don't think about risk in all of this you are saying.
No, hold on. Igalaman, hold on. You're going to talk. 1 second. I am not talking about risk. Listen to what I'm saying. Historical facts is what I am telling you. Let me reel out some data to you. I speak with data. There's no story here. This is not church or church. I am telling you that the performance over key time frames, right, of Bitcoin against S&P 500, gold, US treasuries, real estate, go and check it. It's about 26,000% for Bitcoin in the last 10 years. And for S&P 500,
correct. Bitcoin is 2008 till 9. Yeah, S&P has been over 100 years. You have to think of that model.
No, listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah, Shego, hold on, guys. Shego, hold on. Just hold on. So again, just to make sure folks are listening, right? If you want to compare absolutes, then you got to compare absolutes, right? I hear your numbers. Your numbers are correct, but he's saying you've got to also have a risk-weighted return. I hear you caveat by saying 4 years. That you must hold for 4 years before.
I said 10 years. I said over the last.
But if I buy US stocks in a year, I make 6%, 8%. Why should I have? So if it's 10 years, then I should also look at the S&P.
The CAGR of Bitcoin is like 25.
I hear you, but the stock market did that maybe in one particular year. They did 25%. So we have to do like for like, right? So if you do 25 years, you also have to look at the S&P for 25 years. And then see what's the CAGR of S&P. I'm sure Bitcoin will beat it, but the point I'm making is you've got to do like for like. I don't think anyone here. Bitcoin was $21,000, $6,000, $1. Now it's $88,000 for one, or $83,000. So we all know there's been a profit return on it. I think the question is, if I had bought my Bitcoin in a particular year, I would have lost money. If I had sold in a particular year, I would have lost money. But if I had bought and held till today, I would make 83,000%. We get that. And I think most people on this space are also saying, this is money I have. I've taken money from my consumption. I would like to invest it. And I want to see a return. They're not going to wait for 10 years. Let me make the point. They're not going to wait for 10 years or 4 years. They want to say, okay, this thing I'm hearing, Bitcoin, crypto, I didn't know about it. But people seem to be making money. What should I invest in it? Okay, where should I invest? What should I invest? We get for the president of the United States to come out and hold a conference on Bitcoin, that is the best use case. It's done. There's no need to convince anybody again about Bitcoin. It's done.
Let me answer your question.
The question is what, when, where, how. I think that's what we want to know. Should they do it? How? Yeah, that's what we're discussing.
I get it. And I'm not going to come and deceive anybody on your space. Your space is a truth sayer space. Yes, you've made some mistakes, and I love you. You're basically like Elon Musk. You make your mistakes and you correct yourself. You're not the type of person that can't stand, right? So I will tell you, Bitcoin is not what you will put money in and you think is kalu or a sporty bet. No, I will not tell you to put money in Bitcoin because you think that, you can lose that money. This is what I will advise, and it is not financial advice, it's realistic talk. Any money you want to lose, you think you can risk, put it in other cryptocurrencies, put it in any other thing. Any money you don't want to lose, capital letter DONT, and you think you want to invest like a real estate that you will hold, not the one that you will sell quickly. If you're looking at an asset class, Bitcoin is the only thing that can do that for you successfully. You don't put betting money in BTC. So it is not a thing of, I want to buy Bitcoin and make money from it in 3 months. Then go and do P2P transactions. If you want to be making money, then do arbitrage and put some margin on it. I can educate you in that area. It's very easy. You can go to. That's one of the ways you can make money quickly every day. People are making millions of dollars in months.
But if you look at it, it doesn't.
Okay, let's let the Gala man speak for.
It doesn't still work that way, because if it comes to investing, everybody has a risk appetite and everybody have where they are in this life, and that is what you're not trying to understand with what this guy Olumide is saying, right? Being an advocate is fine, but in the public space in finance, we put like a margin of risk when we express things. There is no absolute answer, and there is no way you're going to say, put this into Bitcoin, or if you invest in Bitcoin, nothing's going to happen. No, you can't put people's retirement money in Bitcoin just like that.
Yeah, I would not advise that. I would just
think of it in the line of how many percent of your portfolio should you expose to Bitcoin. That is a better way to address this. Instead of you saying Bitcoin, you won't lose money. No, you're going to see a lot of us here in the next 18 years or 20 years. Others are looking to retire. Others have their kids' school fee, different things they have to pay, and anything could happen. Bitcoin is just 2009 after the 2008-2009 financial crisis. Then it became a thing 2017. And we saw how it dropped 2020. That is the same argument we had 2020 during the SPAC in America, where they are doing special acquisition in the company. Most of the SPACs IPOs are down right now, right? So it can never be absolute in finance. When we explain things often in finance, we look at it like, if you are in this period in your life, expose 8% into this. If you are in this period in your life, expose 8% into this. Age is also an important thing, right? An 18-year-old is fine to expose half of his portfolio into Bitcoin. That's fine. But a 45-year-old who has an 18-year-old going to the university, are you expecting him to expose himself into Bitcoin? It just does not work like that. So there is that. We all understand a Bitcoin. I bought a Bitcoin first May 2017, a week after I entered Lagos. I've had good exposure to it. I've burnt my hand before, and I've gained a lot out of it too. But the idea that in finance, put half of your whole money in this, I think if half of all you have right now is in Bitcoin, bro, I'm sorry, you might be hurt in the next years to come. Honestly, I'm
Gala man, I have 100% in BTC, and let me tell you to take that back. I never said anybody should put half. This is what I'm saying clearly. Anywhere you are in your life, as poor, middle class, or HNI, right? Ask yourself. I mentioned one thing as soon as Kalu gave me the opportunity to speak. I spoke about the CRR of Nigeria, the freaking highest in the fucking world. I spoke about NPR. I spoke about the rebased inflation, right? So I'm telling you that all of us know the price of Gary, bread, and butter. All of us here, inflation will batter all of us. All of us know that in this country, banks practice a bank run and nobody has gone to jail. It's only a Emefiele that is being held for it. So if you want to turn your Naira into an automated money that will increase over a long period of time, that's what I am telling you. Now, your risk appetite is now based on the education that you find and you have discovered and you have now learned based on your research.
It is still incorrect
because one sat is more than, wait, Gala, do you know how to calculate Bitcoin? You know Bitcoin is not paper money.
But that's Oluwasegun, if I may, if I may, Oluwasegun, just if I may, I do apologize, Oluwasegun. If I may, if you have $1 and you have only that $1, then the price by nominal value, if other assets fall, will rise nominally. It doesn't mean it hasn't gotten any earnings. There's no earnings with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's return is because the dollar is falling, gold is stable, bonds are falling. You see the point I'm making? So if I buy a share of Warren Buffett's company and I put it in my pocket, as that share is in my pocket, Warren Buffett is working for me. He's making a return, a dividend to me. So my dividend in my pocket, the appreciation is in my principal, plus I get a dividend. The Bitcoin, there is no appreciation in my pocket, but the dollar in my other pocket is losing value. So the Bitcoin in my pocket, the value, that return you see is the inverse of the dollar falling. So when you say, for instance, that the Bitcoin has made more, it hasn't made more. Dollar has fallen. So that return is the inverse. You see, so it's just to make the point for listening, there's no return on Bitcoin per se unless you stake it.
Right? Remember what I said. I'm a Bitcoin educator, right? And I teach even the capital market guys. I keep saying it that Bitcoin is not paper money and it is finite money. We are all talking like this because we have never, all of us, including Donald Trump, including David Sachs, including the lady, the special advisor to President Trump, who tweeted the tweet that I posted in the Nest. We are all just here experiencing Bitcoin. Most of us here are older than BTC. Most of us here are in the age of the internet. So we should not make any mistake. It's finite. It is not something they are printing. And on the first ever block, Satoshi Nakamoto said it, Chancellor on the brink of bailing out banks. Everybody go and do that research, including you. Basically in 2020, in 2008, you know what happened in the world. In 2009, when Bitcoin came up, right? He said, Chancellor on the brink of bailing out banks again. So you are very correct, which is why we are all here don't understand Bitcoin. And I'm telling you that Bitcoin is finite. 100 million Satoshis is what you are buying. You are not buying the dollar, pounds, naira, dirham, rand. No, you are betting against them. So every time you buy a portion of that Bitcoin, I really don't care whether it is dollar, pounds, or whatever it is. It is basically when I change my settings, I see the currency that it is fluctuating against. Bitcoin will never change value. If you buy 10,000 sats, it is 10,000 sats. If you have just 5,000 naira, you can buy Bitcoin. If you have just 3,000 naira, you can buy Bitcoin.
It can change value. It can change value.
So what changes value?
It can change value. It can change value. If the US says, if Donald Trump says Bitcoin is used by ISIS, hence I ban Bitcoin, it has changed value. It becomes illegal.
You know why Donald Trump cannot say that?
I know, but I know why. I know he's not going to say that. I know he's not going to say that, Segun Oluwasegun. But if he says that the value, the intrinsic value, would change, that's the point I'm making. Let me get other folks to come in here. Let me get Olu Washing.
Yeah, if I want to add one last.
Go ahead, Igalaman, and Olu Washing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this group here is, I think everyone here are more like retail investors, and it's very important that for Bitcoin, for example, being an advocate for Bitcoin is absolutely very fine, but you talk more about the product, not the user experience, in terms of like how it benefits the people or how it impacts the people's portfolio, etc. One very important thing everyone have to understand is risk versus return here now, and different asset class has variable risk and return. So depending on where you are, the question you first have to ask yourself is, what am I really investing for? It mustn't be Bitcoin, it mustn't be gold, it mustn't be equities, it can be anything. But all that matters is, don't put all of your eggs in one of those things, right? In fact, even if you're investing in stocks is still a spectrum of maybe like, Nigerian stocks, global stocks, or maybe some are mega caps, others are mini caps, others are mid cap, etc. So it kind of goes that wide. So if or maybe me, I'm speaking off of the angle of like an advisor in a way, because I've been like in that industry before, so it has shaped how I look at money. But we've seen a good number of people who are footballers, sportsmen, who have burnt their hand with this kind of ideology. Like, it happens over and over. So as a retail investor, just do a bit of research. It's not hard. You can just do, like, you can open into any of this AI, explain your risk up, your life right now, right? If you're like on Claude or any of this AI, write about your life right now and ask it to advise you as a moderate investor like Bill Ackman or Buffett, stuff like that. You can see like you're going to see like a proper breakdown of how you can invest moderately, right? Because honestly, it's very easy to say this asset is going to bring return, but we keep hearing bad news every day from people. That's all from me.
Okay, hey, and again, just overall, right, guys, whatever you do, no matter the asset class, you cannot have more than, say, 90%, 80% in any asset class, irrespective of who you are and whatever band you see yourself. There's a concept called asset allocation, and they've researched asset allocation. They find out that when you have a return on a portfolio, more than 50% of the reason why your portfolio makes a profit or makes a loss is how you allocate your assets. What I mean is if you're a certain age, certain risk profile, you have a certain objective, then you buy certain assets, right? If you are younger, the framework, or should we say the principle is that if you are younger, you buy equities. Why? Because equities like compounding, so they like time. So when you're a younger person, you are encouraged to buy equities and to ignore it, because as it's compounding, it's reducing your average costing, you are investing your dividends, your cost per share is falling as you are younger. But when you are older, you don't have the time to compound anymore, because you are going to retire at 65, then of course they're going to pass on. So they'll advise you to take your money out of equities and do fixed income and just enjoy the fixed income. It's not because fixed income pay you more or pay you less. It's because you cannot afford to lose your money. So what I'm saying is if you are listening on the space and you want to invest, right? You have money, you want to invest. You don't invest according to returns. You invest according to your objective. If you want to make a lot of money, take some percentage, put it in an account, and do what Mr. Oluwasegun is doing. Go full crypto, right? Maximize it, do the leverage, do everything. But that's a part of your portfolio that okay, if I lose this, it's not going to affect my retirement. But if you are older, you should be very careful the amount you put in there. It doesn't mean Bitcoin won't make money. Again, it's at $83,000. It started from $1 or 1 cent. It's now at 83,000. The US government is now owning Bitcoin. So we can't come and say it's not an it's an asset. But you must invest according to your objectives, not according to returns. Very important point. Oluwasegun, you've got the floor. Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
All right, beautiful. Thank you. And it's been nice listening to everyone. Hi, Shego. It's been a while. Yeah, so I think one of the things that Bitcoin is always a polarizing topic, and I think that is understandable just because of maybe the roots of it. I do feel like the conversation here has been devoid of, say, even a little bit of focus on, why does Bitcoin actually matter? I'm not a Marxist of Bitcoin. I work in the blockchain space. I research and all of that. I am a Marxist of access, right? Just creating products that give people better access, right? And I'll give you an example of that. I recently I was in Nairobi recently, and it was my first time there. M-Pesa is the dominant payment method there. I paid all through with stable coins, and I didn't need to worry about getting cash here and there. It was pretty simple. Nothing right now, and I think there are also Bitcoin native solutions that could have that does that. There is no other solution nothing else has brought this kind of solution in the East that it has done it. I said that to answer the first question, that the question I see in the space here, has crypto grown up? Yeah, it's slow progress. It's growing slowly, but I do think that it is growing up. I also think when it comes to the subject of Bitcoin strategic reserve, it's also important to understand maybe what the fundamentals are, right? Why does Bitcoin matter as a form of money, right? Not as an investment. It is an investment right now because the demand for it has not peaked in demand, right? The day it peaks in demand to the point where you can't have there's no wide swing between demand and supply. I think there's going to be some level of stability there, and that's still years away, I believe. But I was listening to the founder of Strike. It's a Bitcoin only platform. Just describing why Bitcoin.
Jack Mallers.
Yeah, Jack Mallers. Yeah. And he had the most brilliant. I think if you go through his Twitter's account, you would see that particular podcast. And I thought it was very brilliant the way he presented it. And what he was saying basically is this: when you work, you're exchanging your time for money, right? And that is, money has always been a medium of exchange of value, right? So you need to find a way to retain that value, to store that value. The problem is that the current form of money we have, the Naira, the USD, they've proven over the years to not be strong at retaining value. Now, I spend my time to, just to confirm, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Right. Okay, great. So I spend my time an entire year to earn money, and we are facing that in Nigeria right now. A lot of people cannot afford what you can afford a few years ago just because of the currency situation, because the economy is not strong enough to support a strong currency. So a lot of people have lost their buying power over the years. People are having to leave, and we've read stories of how people have plunged into poverty over the last few years. And the problem is because money, the current fiat structure, doesn't do a good job at retaining value, right? And what Bitcoin seeks to do is to solve that problem, right? Can we have money that if I stop, so for example, I keep, let's say if I keep one gold, let's say a bar of gold somewhere, I'll meet it there, right? Maybe the value would, depending on where it's collecting it from, the value would have gone up or down in terms of what they see, but it stores value in an interesting way, right? And that is what Bitcoin is about. And I think that is the entire basis behind it, right? And something that I always like to tell anybody, because it feels like I come from a financial background myself. I was an equity research analyst for about 10 years, right? And I first heard about Bitcoin in 2013. I discarded it as a Ponzi because, again, we have these questions about what is the earnings, does it generate yield and all of that. That is not the design of Bitcoin, right? You need to like understand why. So it took me another 4 years to like go back to like understand even the history of money. When you find out that, for example, money has never been an invention of a government. Government took over money for different reasons across the world. Money is an invention of trade, right? And if we think that money, the current money we have, government issued money, is going to be, it's just understanding it from that dimension that, changed my whole worldview. That is why I chose to work in this space. I also work, when it comes to access, like I said, I worked for a lot of American firms over the years. And as far back as, say, 2010, the only way I could get paid when I worked was Payoneer. Right, I got locked out of like great opportunities globally because I couldn't access PayPal. Right, I've shared this many times. I couldn't invest in stocks like Tesla as early, even though I knew about them early, just because of my location. What Bitcoin does, what blockchain does, is open it up for access. Right now, there's a problem in the space where because money, unlike most industries where you kind of have to dig out the money, right, by solving a problem. The money came first, right? And I feel like a lot of people in the space are not that motivated to like build problem-solving solutions. But yeah, I'll just keep it at that. I hope I make some sense.
So question for you: is Bitcoin a hedge against inflation?
Well, when you look at it over a time, should I say a couple of years time frame, yes, it has performed well as an hedge against inflation.
No, but that's not the question. That's not the question. The question is it a hedge? Because I think there's a confusion. I'm talking to a guy on Twitter. The guy says Bitcoin is a hedge. I go, Bitcoin is not a hedge. The price appreciates when other asset classes have fallen. But a hedge, as you know, a hedge is one goes up, that's a negative correlation. One goes up, the other one goes down. So if bonds and equities are hedges, if bonds go up, equities tend to go down. Oil and the dollar are hedges. If oil is going up, gold is going down. But I think people are confusing the price appreciation. Like Oluwaseun will first tell you, Bitcoin has gotten about 8 billion percentage return, and the dollar has crashed. So folks will now say, oh, Bitcoin is hedging against the dollar. But Bitcoin is perfectly correlated with the NASDAQ. So if it's perfectly correlated with the NASDAQ, how can it be a hedge?
So if you say, but you just said now that equities are a hedge against inflation, right?
I didn't say so.
What did you say?
I said bonds and equities. If bonds go up, equities go down. Negative correlation. Okay. So if I want to hedge my bond position, I buy equities. If I want to hedge that's a natural hedge, i.e. negative correlation. They don't go the same way. Oil, for instance, would be a natural hedge to say Tesla. If EVs do well, then internal combustion engines don't do well. So they are negatively correlated, going the opposite ways. But with Bitcoin and NASDAQ are positively correlated. If today the stock market goes down, Bitcoin is going to go down, as we're seeing today.
Well, you're not hedging against the stock market with Bitcoin, though.
What am I hedging against?
You're hedging against currency risk. So you're hedging against the money in your bank losing value. That's what you're hedging against.
Okay, so let's go to that. If there's a crisis in the world, what's the safest asset people go to? Is it Bitcoin or is it the US dollar?
I'll take that. Hold on, Barry Block. Shout out to you, man. Coinbase CEO tweeted your tweet. I don't know if you saw it recently. Brian Armstrong quoted your tweet about CNGN.
That's good.
And I haven't been able to give you a shout out for that. And that was a beautiful write-up that you wrote. But unfortunately, you didn't make it to the Nigeria Bitcoin conference. I don't know what happened. But it's good to see you here on Carlos Space. That's where you see most of the top players in the space. Because Carlos is a big man. Okay, so if war breaks down in Nigeria, in America, anywhere today, why do you want to go for the US dollar? Let me just
but we're not arguing this. So I'm saying that it's a fact. If war breaks out anywhere on earth, dollars go up, Bitcoin goes down. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, just pull it up. We're not arguing. I'm not saying what you should do. I'm saying what happens.
You know why? Yeah, I understand you, right? But so let me paint something to you. What Oluwaseun was trying to establish. Dollars, the US dollars is practically the widely most used reserve currency in the world today. But let's be realistic. If war breaks out now, which we have all now come, a few of us, not a lot of us, a few of us have now come to realize, how many US dollar would you be able to lay your hands on? Use Ukraine, Russia, Iran, Afghanistan. Just check out where I'm going.
You are arguing a fact that is already established with history and data points. The point I'm making is this. Anytime there's crisis in the world, anytime, not today, not yesterday, anytime, the dollar, the 10-year dollar bond will go up in price. The VIX will go up in price because traders would run to the safety of the US dollar. Bitcoin will fall, stocks will fall. Bitcoin is positively correlated to the Nasdaq index.
But you know the reason why now?
I know.
Central banks will definitely increase their dollar.
But the point is that it is the fact. Yeah, that's what I'm not to argue. I'm saying this is what would happen.
That's what I was going to say.
So the point I'm making is that when we say we are hedging, if I have a portfolio today, I have maybe equities, bonds, oil, real estate.
I think hedging is the wrong word.
Okay, so if I have a portfolio of 4 equities, bonds, oil, property, what do I hedge it with these 4 things?
I'll hedge it with dollar and gold.
That's it. That's the point I'm going. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I will not put Bitcoin on that side.
The gold is the hedge. Because the gold price will not go up, or it will just stay. It will just stay boring and stable. But if the market crashes, gold stays boring and stable. It doesn't go up, but the other assets going down pull it up because it's a two-way quote. So if I buy gold today, again I use my dollar and I buy gold. Then dollar goes up in price, down in price. Then gold automatically goes up in price. It's a two-way quote. So it's not that gold had new intrinsic value attached to it. Is that dollar crashed, and because the negative correlation, a hedge, it goes up. Yeah. So I'm coming back to my point. The question I ask is Bitcoin a hedge on inflation? It's not. It gives you more money, but that's not what a hedge means.
Bitcoin a hedge is trickish. Bitcoin a hedge against inflation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm saying it is not.
Let me tell you why I disagree, Carlos. So let me give my own reasons why. So it depends. Like what you totally said makes sense, but now you look at it on the spectrum. Like inflation has been on the rise, and Bitcoin has been on the rise. That's negative. Not rise. When you understand rise, the value of Bitcoin has surpassed the increase in inflation. So definitely, the value of what you were getting, for example, the value of Bitcoin now has surpassed the value of the dollar's holding power. If you look at the dollar's holding power in 2024, has dropped lower than what it was in 2022, but Bitcoin over that period has increased.
Okay, I mean I hear you, but when Biden was the president and we had inflation, what was Bitcoin doing?
It was not doing so well. You're right.
Which stocks did well? So I mean, the data is out there. I'm just saying that if you look at the Bitcoin and Nasdaq, it's correlated, and so that means we can take stocks and replace stocks with Bitcoin, or Nasdaq. We can replace Nasdaq with Bitcoin.
That's what some people did with Nvidia, actually.
Okay.
Okay. The advantage Bitcoin has over US stocks is that, many Nigerians, for example, don't have access to buy US stocks directly. So Bitcoin has that wider reach in terms of the fact that, you could say a direct correlation, but Bitcoin has wider reach. Almost every Nigerian can buy Bitcoin tomorrow. You don't need a social security number. But in America, you definitely need some form of ID or institutional cover for you to get exposed to that market. Okay, so again, just to make sure that I put on the question I'm asking, right? So if you, before there was Bitcoin, what was the hedge people would buy for a portfolio? It used to be gold. So if you have a portfolio, usually going to be fixed income and variable income.
So fixed income will be your bonds, your property, fixed income. Your variable is going to be your equities and anything that does not pay you a fixed rate of return. So the normal hedge people used to buy was gold, because gold just sits there. It just sits there and it protects your portfolio when it goes up and down. Now, Bitcoin was now quoted as digital gold. And folks are saying if you buy Bitcoin, you are hedging a portfolio, a traditional portfolio. But how can it be a hedge when Bitcoin is the same with equities? Bitcoin.
I noticed you asked this question multiple times, and I want to.
Okay, you are right. I think you have missed the point.
I'm not saying it doesn't make money. I'm not saying you won't make money. I'm saying that it goes with equities.
There was something Olumide said. If you pay attention to what he said, look, if you are very. First of all, let me start like this. How do I put it? You can basically, this is how to argue this, right? Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million coins, and it is hard coded into the Bitcoin blockchain, the Bitcoin protocol. Unlike fiat currencies, where the banks, the apex banks, central banks can print money like Naira, trash money, like US dollar, during QE, quantitative easing. We all know that they print money. The Bitcoin scarcity mimics that of gold as a store of value. It erodes inflation. So Bitcoin basically helps you strengthen your purchase power against fiat. So
okay, I hear you.
Depends on your patience.
But the question is this. If you cannot be a hedge if you fall when there's uncertainty. You can't say you are a hedge if the value falls when there's uncertainty. April, what's your take on this? Can you be a hedge?
No,
No, I think someone's orders.
They are saying that it has.
Hold up, April, I'm muting you.
You are talking about.
It's not a hedge.
I think we're not. The point is that we're not defining what a hedge is. That's what we're arguing.
The hedge has a negative correlation. Right?
Exactly. So if it's a negative correlation, then it should not fall when the markets are falling.
True. That's why
it can't be a hedge.
That's why people anti-market. No, it's not an anti-market hedge. But you mentioned inflationary, and that was why I said that's a very tricky one.
But inflation always comes with a bad economy. So that's the point I'm making. If today we hear that the US inflation is 5%,
Carl, not always true. You are talking about America because you are in an advanced market.
If
China, inflation in China.
There's no inflation in China.
It's bad for China.
There's no inflation in China.
This deflation almost.
I know, but they don't have disinflation as well. It's Japan. I think of Japan.
Yeah. But generally, yes. But generally, like in the US, inflation is usually low. And that's because of very efficient market management. Yeah, I get what you're saying, reserve currency. But you can't use the dollar. You can't use the dollar here, as you can't use the US here to say that
any nation that has high inflation has a serious economic problem. Any nation on earth. There is no nation on earth with double-digit inflation that the economy is doing well. It correlates. So when I say hedge on inflation,
yeah. Like for example. Okay.
There is no nation that has double-digit inflation as the economy is doing well.
That's true.
Okay, we're monopolizing the mic. Mr. Eric, let's do Mr. Eric. Your hand is up. Mr. Eric, go ahead, please. Mr. Eric, go ahead.
Hi, Carly. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great speech. Great to be here again. Great speakers. I think I'll keep it very brief. Although Ashegun has said everything that needs to be said, but in respect to inflation and the price volatility, I think I remember being on this space in 2022 when Bitcoin crashed last time. And the case study here was a girl that invested $13,000 in a digital coin called Luna, Luna, I think, if you can remember. And it crashed. Bitcoin crashed from 40,000, I think 7,000. She lost everything, so to say. And that was the bare case then. Now, a lot of things have happened since 2022. The United States SEC chairman has been replaced. The Nigerian SEC chairman has been replaced since that time. Now, by virtue of the kind of work I do, I'm very connected to Dr. Timi Agama, the current SEC chairman. And I should say, like I said, Oluwasegun has said what needs to be said, but he's very bullish in terms of understanding and directional views in terms of what needs to be done with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been solidified as an asset class, so things are being done, changes are being made to make sure the mistakes that were made under previous leadership or previous CBN governors won't be made again. Now, currently I'm in Toronto on the ground. With respect to the kind of work I do, I've been here for about 3 years, and when I landed, there wasn't really any, should I say, market acceptance to Bitcoin. So let me give you an example. All the stores in my city right now currently accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. When I say stores, I mean things like convenience stores, things like gas stations, things like, down to the smallest, a hot dog stand accepts Bitcoin as a payment form. These things were not commonplace when I landed here. In 2022, I was in Abuja and I tried to buy Bitcoin via First Bank. First Bank rejected the transaction. I tried with Zenith Bank, Zenith rejected the transaction. I think only GT was the only bank that even gave me a little leeway in terms of calling me to tell me some Bitcoin has landed in my account. So instead of them, should I say, refunding the transaction, they can work with me to get the money out. So regulation was, I understand the regulatory perspective from Olumide and some other speakers who have spoken on the market acceptance and behavior towards Bitcoin, but all that is, shall I say, fear of the past. We should move forward from things that have happened. This asset class is, shall I say, 15 years old, 20 years old. Bitcoin is not up to 30 years old. So comparing it with gold, comparing it with real estate, shall I say, it's too early for those types of comparisons. And lastly, in terms of BlackRock's ETF, IBIT, they charge a 0.25 expository fee, and I should say the value behind that is them allowing you to buy derivatives connected to the stock in terms of call and put options. Now, for advanced investors, I don't want to go too deep into that. You know the values of calls and puts. So while you can buy Bitcoin without fees on multiple other exchanges, the value behind that 0.25 fee is the calls and puts just attached to that. Just a brief add-on onto what Oluwasegun was saying. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks. I mean, interesting that even you're talking about in Canada, it's now mainframe. I think it's everywhere. I think I went to the store, normal store in America here, and they have all those kiosks where you can buy Bitcoin across the board. I think if Nigeria, Oluwasegun is here, if Nigeria does that, if they start to put ATMs where you can buy Bitcoin, it's all over. And I don't see it's all over. Folks are just going to transit to Bitcoin because of inflation worries. So perhaps Nigeria and then maybe the guys that are doing that stable coin might be onto something. But it's interesting that this is happening. Eric, you've got Eric just spoke.
Before Eric speaks, let me say something about what you just said, Kalu.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people don't know Kalu is like Larry Fink of BlackRock. I mean, it might not be in terms of wealth, but in terms of the heavyweight financial talk in our country. Larry Fink of BlackRock and Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy, MSTR. You should try and get your hands on some, or now called Strategy. Look, let Kalu get Bitcoin eventually. All of you here who knew him as naysayer before will find out how most likely the Nigerian government will eventually invite him to be on that executive board of people that will advise the president. You can hear some of the things Kalu is saying now. This is not the Kalu of 2 years ago. So we all get Bitcoin at the price and understanding that we deserve when the time is right. I yield my mic. But well done. Best space so far.
Kalu. Yeah.
I've always I've always held I have Bitcoin in my 401k. I have Bitcoin individually. The point I've always had, again, I go back to that article in Bloomberg. I don't buy stocks and don't pay a dividend. So I don't buy Tesla because I don't pay a dividend. Why? Because I look at dividends as my escape route. If I buy a bad stock at least I get dividends. So Tesla is a growth stock. Nothing wrong with not paying dividends, but I like to have a dividend. Bitcoin doesn't pay a dividend. They started to do staking. That's why I was interested, because I could buy the dividend, the BTC, and stake it. Not just BTC, the rest, and stake it. But still, that lack of utility. When we're talking Oluwaseun, the market has moved. Back then, Bitcoin was a speculative asset. You buy it, you make a lot of money, and you can lose a lot of money. I remember when we were talking, we bought Bitcoin at $21. I remember 2 years ago, we had a space. 21,000. We had the space. Remember, we had the space. It went to 49,000. We had a space. I sold 49,000. And then one guy said it's going to go up. I went back. I bought again at 40,000. It went to 56,000. I sold again. Then it went back to 65. I now went and bought at 65. My engine knocked. At 65, it didn't go up again. It came down. So you win some, you lose some, But now the thing looks like it's becoming, if the US government is holding Bitcoin, then who are you? The first person, when Tesla was quoted and Tesla bought Bitcoin, which means that when SEC will review Tesla's account, they're going to see a line saying we own Bitcoin. And SEC has to approve that.
Because you know why Bitcoin dropped yesterday, even after the US strategic reserve?
Because
Bitcoin. So the news is that Donald Trump disappointed the market, and that was because
he thought he would buy.
He made it like they're not going to use taxpayers' money to buy Bitcoin, and whenever Bitcoin that is held by the US government, they won't sell it, which is good. But the truth of the matter is that the US democracy is 4 years, and it's the second term. This is not China or Russia where the president stays forever. So we know that, and it has not gone through Congress. So if you look at the market, why it's dumping, because I've explained to you how the market's perception is. Because me personally, I increased my buying pressure after the election. I increased my buying pressure on Bitcoin. I felt like, okay, yes, I see that it will definitely break into the six figures. But market reaction this quarter has shown positive correlation with recession fears, liquidity drain, and disappointment that taxpayers' money will not be used. So yes, Bitcoin is here to stay, but will people be ready to ride through the bumps or not? Because a lot of people don't understand that to hold Bitcoin is very difficult mentally. You must be able to absorb 40% loss. You must be able to absorb 20% during the journey. And these are things a lot of people don't talk about, because the holding power of Bitcoin requires mental strength. Like today, for example, I just checked my Ethereum wallet and I was like, wow, this is weird. The market was down. It was looking like, this was Ethereum that was close to 4,000. So these are things that you need to talk about too.
Okay, but let's plan this out. Okay, I asked the question to Sunil, but he's left now. Let's do the scenario planning out. Let's say Donald Trump now, US has got the Bitcoin in their Bitcoin reserve. He's holding meetings with all these folks that are in the Bitcoin Council. Clearly, regulation is now saying the US government is open to Bitcoin. Then let's now say Trump has 3 more years. In 3 years, Bitcoin is going to move down that football field. They are at the 10-yard line. There is no way in 4 years they won't be at the touchline for a touchdown. No way. So what you're going to see is that Americans still don't use Bitcoin. If you pull up the chart and look at the Americans that know and use Bitcoin, it's very low. Africans do a lot of Bitcoin because we have to. We do a lot of, our currency is not stable. We do a lot of transfers. Americans still use checks. These Americans, they still use checks. So they need to be convinced. And I think it's when the older folks in America that have the money, the baby boomers that have the money, when they look at Bitcoin and say, this is now safe because Donald Trump has said it is now safe. SEC has said it is safe. The big boys are now buying. That's when you will see a movement.
Yeah, but Warren Buffett has $346 billion in his cash in treasury and cash equivalent. Americans have about $6 trillion on the sideline. And you look at what Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Wells Fargo analysts was talking about. They're saying that it's likely where recession bet is high. We know that Bitcoin performs poorly during recession. Remember what happened in COVID, where it dropped as low as below 4K. So yes, I get it, Kalu. Donald Trump has really amplified integrity around the Bitcoin space. However, market circumstances, geopolitical risk, Trump's tariff has really drained liquidity. A lot of people are out this quarter. If you look at just your tweet, social media channel, and look at type keywords, and look at where Nigerians, you see that a lot of Nigerians were out in the mini space and a lot of things. So yeah, Bitcoin is here to stay. But the truth of the matter is, how low will it get before we ride to the next bull run?
Okay, but again, I would just say Oluwaseun is right. On a broad perspective, the outlook for this asset class is more positive today than it was yesterday. So which then means that as an investor, you follow the market. You follow the market. If the market is becoming more positive, you want to ask yourself, okay, this thing is now looking good. Should I do 1, 2, 10%? That's really why we're holding the space. So to guide folks to say, okay, this thing is now a thing. But doesn't mean because it's a thing, you should then throw 50% at it. Maybe start with 1% or 2% if you think it's you. But this is a thing. We can't deny it anymore. It's a thing. Let me get no information provided. Not my president. How you doing, sir? Yeah. Oh, Tobechukwu, I do apologize. Tobechukwu, go ahead. That's why I like to read that name. Tobechukwu, please go ahead. Then no information, and we've got. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you remember. Yeah, thanks for hosting the space. You remember.
Can you just speak up if you don't mind? Yeah, Tobechukwu. So speak a bit, yeah.
Let me disconnect this headset. Hold on. Yeah, can you hear me?
Perfectly and loud and clear.
Okay. So, remember, I think it was last year or last quarter of 2023 that I was on your space, and I think that year, the next year, which was last year, was Bitcoin halving, and it was at I think it rose comparing then and now. I think 25% from that time, and it's a win. It's a big win for the crypto, market. It's a very big win that the United States now has, a pathway, a crypto-driven reserve, a crypto-driven reserve, and they are now holding a number of, layer one cryptocurrencies. And I heard someone say something about gold, and the person hit the nail on the head. Gold is limited, and that is why it's able to be a good hedge. The US dollar is printed, is limitless, and Bitcoin is limited. Satoshi, when he published the Bitcoin white paper, 2008, he wanted to remove government and central banks' control over money. That was his initial plan. Decentralization, limited supply and censorship and all that. But he, as it is seen today, because of that censorship, every genuine government will want to look into it. We have seen cases where Bitcoin is being used for, shady. I'm not going to hide the truth. We have had issues where dangerous, what's it called? Dangerous outfits use BTC to run their organizations based on that anonymity. But all the same, Bitcoin is a good hedge if you want to rate it. It's a good hedge. At least it was the first cryptocurrency. It was a good hedge. Now, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to what I said, lastly, about that inability to be transparent, some of the transactions. And that is where, cryptocurrency, same layer one, cryptocurrency like Pi Network, they have come to solve that problem. That problem that BTC is running into now, because as you can see, the dream of Satoshi was not fully implemented.
All right.
Now, to round up, Pi Network brings accessibility. The accessibility of Pi Network is way like Bitcoin printed 20 million BTC. And what is remaining now is about 1 million BTC is remaining now for the mining to be up. That's very soon. Bitcoin is not as accessible as some stable currencies. You can't use Bitcoin in a market in Nigeria. You can't use Bitcoin in a food market because of the digits, the limitation on the digits. And the price today, it has already gone far. That being said, it will keep going far, but that accessibility is needed, and that is where cryptocurrencies like Pi Network come in. They first started from the grassroots to spread, after which that anonymity, they solved it by bringing in KYC and enhancing their security through social trust. So every pioneer goes through a KYC process that makes you to be known, that your transaction will be known, so that transparency is there. It's critical. I'm not just talking BTC. I know many BTC maxis that are mining BTC today. They are not buying it, they are mining it. They have farms. It takes a lot of energy to mine Bitcoin. If you want to mine Bitcoin in Nigeria without 24 hours electricity, you're going to be,
All right, Toby, go to work.
Yeah.
All right, Toby.
That's it. I'm just saying the pros and cons. And
Tobechukwu, please, let me debunk what you just said. Do you know that over $100 billion annually, $100 billion cash dollars annually, since 2010 is being used for illicit drug dollars, not Bitcoin.
I didn't tell you about dollar statistics. I know.
Just hold on.
Okay.
No, just hold on. I'm not arguing with you. Just hold on. It's the Kalu space is not a space where we argue. It's a space where you try to share your
knowledge. I understand your question. You said you wanted to have a report. So I understand you're going against the transparency stuff I talked about BTC being used for illicit transactions. Is that it?
I'm just trying to put it out there that cash, fiat, dollars is more preferred for crimes. If you want me to start reading out the stats,
you said it on this page that you can see every BTC transaction, but you won't know who is doing the transaction. You said it on this page.
Wait, hold on. Just hold on. I'm not contradicting myself. I'm saying that illicit transactions ranges from 2 trillion to 5 trillion per year in dollars. Illicit transaction. What is the market cap of Bitcoin, for God's sake, my brother? So I will leave that there for people who are smart to understand. Just keep it like that.
Guys, let's do this, right? Let me just go around the table. You guys should tell me which is your favorite, which BTC you, I don't want to use the word recommend, which BTC you like, how much, hold up, how you think folks can buy it. Maybe talk to a Nigerian, talk to the guy abroad. Let me start with Mr. Crypto. Oluwasegun, tell me which one you like and how folks here can buy, or how folks there can buy. Just let's do it that way. Then sort of one is placed down. Oluwasegun, you've got the floor. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalu. I know this space is basically rounding up. So first of all, I'd like to thank you because maybe after this I'll drop off. And shout out to everybody on the space, Oluwaseun, Olumide, and every other person that we've had a banter with. Wonderful platform. Because Bitcoin is finite, because it's the first ever cryptocurrency. Without Bitcoin, there will never be the word blockchain or Web3. So anybody trying to do any other coins, scam coins like Pi and all those other things, should know that Bitcoin reigns supreme. Anything that has VCs behind them, anything that have investors and they pre-mined it and they have already shared it, you can never get authenticity from that thing. But like the man that just spoke said accurately, that anybody can mine Bitcoin, so you can all get fair share. We can all get fair share. Because of these reasons, because one part of Bitcoin is bigger than our Nigerian naira, because one Bitcoin is now bigger than the US dollar, don't forget, you could use 80 naira, 90 naira, 130 or 140 naira in the black market to buy Bitcoin between 2009 and 2010. Bitcoin, you could use $1 to buy 1,600 Bitcoins in 2010. So any other jargons we are saying really don't matter. If you truly want to be wealthy, if you truly want to hold an asset and say in the next 4, 5, 10 years, like a Banana Island house in cyberspace, you want to get rich. If you want to be able to send money cross-border without the stringent and all types of KYC wahala of, even if it's KYC, but the stoppage wahala of Western Union, SWIFT, MoneyGram, etc., cross-border transactions among the banks, the traditional banks. If you don't want your transaction to be stopped, if you don't want to be censored, if you don't want anything that they share in the room and you are not a part of, buy Bitcoin for your destiny. If you do not want anything to do with money that you will lose, I am categorically saying, I am not giving you investment advice, real world advice based on what I have even done to an ex-president. I've sold Bitcoin to a poor man. I've sold Bitcoin to the woman selling akara. I've also sold Bitcoin to an ex-president in our nation, in our country today. So Donald Trump is not the first president to even learn about Bitcoin. An ex-president in our country, name withheld, is. So I would just say, for me, Oluwaseun, Bitcoin has liberated me of poverty, and that is the business that I do. That is what the government now wants to take 10% capital gain on. That is what NSA is discussing with the presidency. That is what central bank is trying to take that position to the SEC. So if you look at the entire traditional market and the inflationary measures that has bastardized our country, Nigeria's currency, Naira, the inflationary woes on all of the paper money on earth, go and check. No data favors any other assets. Shout out to S&P 500, NASDAQ, etc. None of them, including oil and gas and real estate, have done what Bitcoin has done in the last 10 years. I'll rest my case here. Thank you very much, Mr. Calvin.
All right, perfect. So if I got you well, Bitcoin, you threw that in for us. Thank you. Olumide, how can you address this question? What should be looking at? If I'm a Nigerian guy, I want to invest, what should I be looking at? How can I get in touch with this market? What's your recommendation?
Yeah, typical Nigerian likes tech, likes crypto, and that's very nice. It's an evolving technology. Bitcoin is affirmed as digital gold, just like the Fed chief said a few days ago. I personally feel that the context here is how you allocate and what your projection. So personally for me, Bitcoin doesn't offer so much for me, but I think if I want to have a trust, if I'm like a trust for my child or for things far ahead, I think Bitcoin has shown that it can be something I can really put into a strong component. For me, I also understand the fact that I have to look at the risk, I have to look at opportunities, and I have to look at my disposable. So Nigerians, for those that are not earning so much, Bitcoin has opened opportunities, just like the last speaker said. And it's not just by investing, acquiring the knowledge can give you intellectual capacity to write, to be an analyst, to do a lot in the ecosystem. There's so many Nigerians working in the blockchain space, earning for FX, and that's one way you can tap into. And for those that, you're looking at being exposed, you just have to understand that, me, I'm not a person that calls price, because I try not to be a prophet. I try the market to be the decider. The market looks like it's correcting, and it seems like the drama around Donald Trump US trade tariffs will keep going on. So definitely Bitcoin might still hit some lows, but you can't bet against the asset class. Something that you must have a long-term overview. And I think finally, it's something that you should start acquiring knowledge on. I think where most Nigerians meet in the Bitcoin space is the knowledge capacity, because that has really brought in people's intellectuality, that has really amplified earnings power. I got some jobs just because I had exposure in the crypto space, So it's not just traditional market, also understanding how Bitcoin, what value it brings to the space can also make a difference. The federal government is looking at crypto, so definitely we're going to have crypto tax accountants, we're going to have crypto analysts, we're going to have crypto consultants, we're going to have crypto experts being employed, so crypto lawyers. So the space is widening, so you can look at your strength and build on that. On that note, I would say that not all that data is gold. I made some mistakes in the space, and one of the mistakes I made in the space was that I looked at the crypto like stocks. So I had a very broadened view in different asset class. But I think the last few years I've learned that nothing is like Bitcoin. Nothing can be like Bitcoin, and nothing will be like Bitcoin. And Bitcoin will always be Bitcoin. Thanks, Carlo.
Well, so if you knew what you knew now 2 years ago, would you have put more money in Bitcoin?
No, but if I knew what I knew many years ago, I would have only invested in Bitcoin.
Only in Bitcoin. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. Perfect.
Yo, everybody give Olumide a round of applause, man. No, I'm going to record this space and play for some motherfuckers who don't believe in BTC. If you know Olumide very well and you know Carlos space, these guys influence a lot of people, so pay attention to the things they're saying. No cap. If somebody like Olumide can say that, I don't know what you're thinking. Not investment advice, but Olumide got my follow today.
Don't quote Olumide out of context, too. That's all I'll say.
I'm not quoting him out of context, but it's just being factual about it.
Okay.
Honestly.
All right.
This
Perfect.
is not because it's about Bitcoin. It's about the facts.
Gotcha. Igalaman, do you have any recommendations or anything you're looking at?
Yeah. I would say it has already been established that Nigerians love huge returns, so that has drove us to crypto space over the last decade. For everyone, his own or her own. So just pay attention to the markets, pay attention to your investment goal. That has to be your number one thing, right? Because we hear a lot of bad news every day.
All of you are dodging to mention a particular name.
Yeah, Bitcoin remains the thing, of course, honestly, but I think I've always had good preference for Ethereum because of the impact it's going to have in Web3.
Gotcha.
Right? But I think Bitcoin still remains the thing. My only thing with Bitcoin is the fact that if there's any news in America, imagine a country is so invested in Bitcoin and a president in America say A and it's going to affect all of us. It shouldn't be the case. Our countries has to be divorced of economic impact in it.
But I thought you guys said it was DeFi. Remember that DeFi thing?
Yeah, it's still a DeFi. All these coin, Ethereum and the rest are still under DeFi per se. So as a Nigerian, just do your thing, but just look at your investment goal. That's just what matters.
Gotcha. Guys, we're rounding up, so let's go. Let me see if Mr. Oluwaseun, would you have any recommendations real quick for us?
Can I give a
right?
Okay.
I'll get to you. Don't worry. Yeah, Oluwaseun, any quick recommendation for us to take home with?
I have always been of the opinion that don't invest in anything that you don't have a conviction about, right? So I would. I think my top assets have always been like Bitcoin, and for the reason that I think it is antithetical to centralized government. So, like I said, what I was saying earlier about it being maybe a sound form of money, right? And I do see a future personally that, I'm happy that there's this guy, that was it, Mr. Eric, when he was talking about how you could pay for stuff with Bitcoin in places in Canada. That is the future. That is something that will become more dominant over the time, over the long haul. Right, I do see that future where Bitcoin in itself gains so much value that what people actually spend is sats, right? And things will be denominated in sats. The thing, so, but again, understand the fundamental. Is that something? Do you believe in that? If you do believe in that, I think it's something that is worth investing in. Other assets like Ethereum, I used to be very bullish on Ethereum, but I think the space has become. That particular ecosystem have become very uncertain in recent times, kind of not directionless or trying to figure out where they want to go to. But the reason I was bullish on Ethereum, that I'm going to share that just in case we see there are any other ecosystem that you feel like fits into that. I saw Ethereum as that, should I say, decentralized world computer, so to speak, where you can build decentralized application that everyday people can use, right? But the way you access that ecosystem is through Ethereum. So when you were talking about generating income and all of that, it's ecosystem that is.
Just wanted to round up, so we're about to go.
All right, great. Yeah, so just to round it up, so those are my two my two theses for both Bitcoin and crypto. So Bitcoin, you're investing in it because you believe in the fundamentals of it being a stronger form of money. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Let's get Tobechukwu, then we'll do
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Tobechukwu, real quick. I just want the recommendations. Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, real quick. The US government established a crypto strategic reserve. These were the terms used. A crypto strategic
No, please don't pass the wrong information. It's not crypto. This is an educational space.
Hold on.
It's Bitcoin strategic reserve, please.
Then why is ETH? Why is ETH there? Why is Solana there?
There is no ETH there, bro. Go into the next. Let me post it to the next. You have not read the executive order before the space.
Just allow me.
Please don't pass wrong information on Carlos space.
Allow me to make my submission. Now, the reserve encompasses the variety of cryptocurrencies. I don't know where this one. I don't know. I'm not here to shitcoin Bitcoin.
So let us get to recommendations. Time is going at lots of folks want to speak.
My recommendation is this: join the train when it's in the beginning, not when it's over at the end. If you want to go into Bitcoin now and you were not in Bitcoin a long time ago, if you cannot buy one Bitcoin now, if you can buy 2 Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin now, if you tell a market woman to buy Bitcoin of 100 naira and it appreciates 25%, how much is 25% of 100 naira? But when you have the money to buy 1 Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoin today and it appreciates by 10%, you have some, tangible monetary thing that you can swap.
Okay.
I'm forgetting Pi Network. It was also launched in the US by Stanford professors. So that KYC, that know your customer, that Bitcoin could not achieve, they have achieved it with more decentralization. Pi Network.
That's the name of the is it a coin? Is it what is it?
That's the name of the crypto.
Pi Network.
It's a layer 1 crypto. BTC is also a layer 1 crypto.
Okay, gotcha. All right, perfect. Let's get no information real quick. Go for it.
Hello.
How you doing?
So I think about it this way: there are productive assets and there are non-productive assets, right? Just as real estate is not productive, but it can track the value of money over time. Similarly with gold, silver, not so much, but in the same space. That's how Bitcoin is, right? So you don't really need to do much thinking for you to understand Bitcoin. If you understand gold, you understand Bitcoin. So I'll recommend Bitcoin just as I'll recommend gold. And I'll say start with gold before you go to Bitcoin if you're just starting out. Then if you want to look at the other cryptocurrencies, those are mostly things like Ethereum and Solana. They are productive assets, being that they're not just currencies meant for exchange, they are also platforms meant for building things, right? And they are more active projects. So just as you won't go into productive asset classes like stocks until you understand them perfectly, understand what this company is doing, you don't go into productive crypto assets like Ethereum or Solana until you understand what they are doing very well. And then you need more to discuss more with people who use those classes of crypto assets. So start with the non-productive ones, they are safer. Start with gold, Bitcoin. But then if you're feeling adventurous, I think Ethereum and Solana, being that they are platforms for building things on, will become more valuable in the future. But know the space very well and do more research on that. And that's what I would say. There's more I would have said earlier if the space wasn't already closing, but I'll leave it at that.
All right, appreciate that.
Hello, Carlo, I apologize. I sent you a DM. Please.
All right, no worries. Gotcha.
I wanted to say that Pi is free to mine Pi. It's free to mine Pi. Nobody's going, and that was how Bitcoin started. It was free to mine Bitcoin. It's just that it took more energy. When you check your bill, your electricity bill, you see that you are mining Bitcoin. But Pi, you can mine Pi with your phone. It's free to mine it. It's also tradable, but it's free to mine it. And that's where you become a maxi. That was how people accumulated Bitcoin to the point that even people that sold, I know people that sold 1,000, 2,000 BTC.
So we gotta go, Toby.
A huge chunk from the mining.
I get you. All right, Eric.
Carly, thank you. To be very brief, I think we're in a very weird space now in the industry. And Bitcoin is the only asset in the asset class that has been legalized. So the conflation between Bitcoin and crypto as an asset class is sure to be there, and many people are making a mistake. But Bitcoin is the only true name in the crypto asset. I cannot recommend Solana. I cannot recommend Ethereum. We read all their white papers. We know when it comes to it, when there's a crash, all of them go down at the same time. Bitcoin is the only name I can recommend for you. And just to come up on the asset class discussion, it's important people read the history of other asset classes, gold, real estate, no matter what name you call. There are trends and there are historical context. Bitcoin is very early. 15 years is very early in the history of asset classes. Thank you very much.
Perfect. So all I've heard from everyone is Bitcoin. Let's get what's this book on? Riddle. Yeah, Riddle. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Real quick. So personally, I see Bitcoin more as a store of value, and probably if I would like to preserve some capital, some cash, I can just put it into Bitcoin. But I don't see it as something that would take me out of poverty. I would have said it if it were 8 years ago. Bitcoin is currently very, very expensive, and if I'm looking to invest in Bitcoin and get back a good sum in a few years, it will be very hard, because I can't compare the movement of Bitcoin when it moved from $1 to over $80,000 now, comparing it to if it's going to move from 80,000 to 160,000, 250,000. It will take a lot of money, a lot of liquidity to be pumped into the system to attain such amounts of gain. So there are other crypto assets you can actually invest in if you are looking to get yourself out of poverty, actually. And it is not a get rich quick scheme. The same way Bitcoin started 10, 15 years ago is how Ethereum started in 2015, and we have seen the growth of Ethereum from cents to over $4,000 at all-time high. Solana grew from mere cents to over $290 all-time high, and this Ethereum and Solana are crypto assets that have done really, really well over time, because these assets they have use cases, like people have reasons like to buy them, and this demand in these assets has helped them to gain lots of value over time. So there are so many assets in crypto assets you can actually invest in, but you have to be very careful, because the space generally is not really stable to the level where you can easily invest in these assets and keep your two eyes closed. Because 5-6 years ago, the cryptos that were like top on the crypto market cap are nowhere to be found today, and we are still going to say the same for most of these like trendy crypto assets in the next 2-3 years. The space is evolving and innovations are coming in every day. All right, I'm just going to round up. The space is evolving and we see different innovations every day. Different L2s, L1s are launching every day. So people tend to move to the new shiny things. Thank you.
All right, perfect. I think it's been a great session we've had for the last 3 hours. Yeah, we've been here for 3 hours, guys. 11 to wow, it's late in Nigeria now. So I mean, we've heard from the maximalists, the folks that want crypto or nothing. We've heard from the guys that are on the traditional side. We've also heard from the guys in the middle. So essentially, this is what we intended, just to give you a readout of what's going on in the world in terms of crypto. I think on Monday, there's a gentleman that's going to do an interview based on his meeting with Trump and on the Bitcoin Council and all that. Important interview to watch on Monday. But the long and short is that this the Bitcoin space, the crypto space, digital asset space, even the meme coin space has changed. Regulation has changed. So value has been added and removed, if you want to use those terms. And of course, we have not look at the new reality that this is a serious asset class, something we should invest in according to our risk profile, according to our objective. Like I said, take a look at it and bring out 1%, 2%, and see if it's something you can put money aside and see how it goes. Don't do too much. If you're a maximalist, that's fine, but don't do too much. You must always diversify across board and then see where this takes us to. Still early days, but I believe that in 3 years' time, the market today will not have been a market that we'll find in 3 years' time. So it might be a chance, if it's at a discount today, to get in. If it's not, hey, there's always something that's going to come down the road. So no rush. Don't rush. Don't borrow to do this. If it's your free capital, see if you can get some exposure and you can wait. I don't like borrowing to buy or to take a chance on something. So thanks to everyone that has joined in. I appreciate you guys for being here and to educating us. I've also been educated. I've listened a lot and I've learned a lot, taken a lot of notes as well. And I hope you guys do enjoy your week coming up in Nigeria and wherever you're listening from. We'll be here again next week. No more daylight savings time. We might take it back to 7 p.m. or we'll see. So on that note, guys, thank you so much, guys. Enjoy your week. Keep it simple. Keep it very simple when you invest, and you can never lose out. Have a good one, and bye.